Look, I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Look, see we vibing and you know it's true. Baby, what it do? Do for me and I'ma do for you. No doubt about it, boo. See, I'm a Midwest king, looking for myself a queen. Ready to chase a dream with a dope self-esteem. You find it in all I know, and that's for real. You get to shaking that ass on the floor, and I see what's real. No disrespect, I just tell it like it is. Do you ever want some kids? What your ultimate goals? Maybe I can help with those. The mo was broke when he made you, you a blessing. You looking like a whole buffet, and I need some seconds. You say you had promiscuous ways, that was back in the day. I'll be a lie if I say I did it. That shit was a phase. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place. This nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes. This one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take the chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk, yeah. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Lady, you so far ahead of these others, just like a ship on the horizon. Picking up on your vibe, signal stronger than Verizon. All the thoughts that I've been contemplating, ain't no time for faking or debating. You the one, ain't no mistaking. Look, I see you swag different. Always carry yourself like you ready, you know the mission. I had to know you, I'm 10, I can see why you timid. Hold up now, baby, listen. Just take that dance with me, I can show you that there's a difference. I'm locked in. I throw away my playaways because you pop in. A shooter always shoot a shot. With you by my side, I guarantee we'll reach the top. I put that on God and them, I give you all that I got. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place, this nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes, this one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk, yeah. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me.
Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast, brought to you by TSWS Game.
Come and talk to me. Lennard Ray. Come on.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another fantastic episode of Behind Them Sticks with your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming. Today, I am with a dope guest, fun speculation, Mr. MAV. How are you doing this evening? What's been going on? I've been checking you out quite a bit on your streams with Gran Turismo. You've been playing quite a bit of the Division 2 on there. I mean, bro, you're constantly streaming, I feel like, which is pretty dope, man. But how are you doing? What's been going on, brother?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for inviting me to be on your show. I've caught your show numerous times from guests, and I always love what you do. I like to hear people's stories and kind of everything that kind of got them into gaming and all that kind of stuff. So I like your show and the whole vibe of it, man. Also, there's not a lot of whole like nonsense on your show as well. You know, it's just kind of, agnostic, console agnostic, as far as like, asking people questions and stuff, and it don't judge or anything. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. It's their life, and I want them just to let everybody know how it is without all that excess noise or like a panel full of people, so nobody really gets to understand who the person is or whatnot. Or I just want to keep it real. What's a good way to put it? Like appropriately intimate.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, appropriately intimate. I like that.
There we go.
Yeah,
But-
man, I've just been playing games and chilling though, dude. Just like working during the day and then playing games and then streaming and doing our podcasts, you know.
Yes, sir.
Just trying to have fun, man.
I feel that. I feel that. I feel that. But anyways, let me shout out the chat real quick. Too Big, good to see you. Mr. Joanna Dark. I know we got some other people up in here. But before we get down and I guess dirty with it in the questions, I really just want to know like what gaming and social media platforms that people can find you on in case, you know, there's some other people that never heard of you or want to check you out or want to possibly even game with you, where they can find you.
Yeah, man. So we have a YouTube channel. It's called Fun Speculation. So it's YouTube Fun Speculation. If you search it up, you'll find it. Twitter, same thing, Fun Speculation. I don't really do too much other social media. I'm not like really actually was before I started podcasts and the channel. I was never really tweeted or Instagram or Facebook, anything. So, but when we started the channel, I kind of started getting involved with Twitter and stuff, you know, and just try to get the show out there and all stuff. Met an amazing community out there, man. So Twitter is where you can find me, usually the easiest. If you want to send me a DM or hit me up, it's Twitter, Fun Speculation. So that's the easiest way, man. Sure.
Fantastic. By the way, you guys, thanks for coming out. Make sure you hit that like button. Share this out on Twitter as well so we can get these awesome people that I happen to interview week in and week out there. So, you know, you can see who you want to possibly follow in the future or maybe who you want to possibly even game with and learn about. But moving forward, what have you been playing other than the Division 2, Trek to Yomi? I believe I seen you playing that for a little bit, and in Gran Turismo. What other games you been up to?
Lately, also Sniper Elite 5. I've been diving into that. Survival mode and the multiplayer. I have not started the campaign yet because I've been playing usually with like more than 2 people, right? So, but man, I've been having a lot of fun, dude. Rebellion is still underrated studio, I think. Their games like play well. They are fun to play, and they don't launch with a ton of issues. You know what I mean? So it's like just having a blast with that. They kind of caught me by surprise that I had missed the boat on them so much. I learned about them with Zombie Army 4 and Game Pass, so I kind of got into that with some of my friends from the community and everything, and that got me kind of hyped for Sniper Elite 5. So we've been playing that game. I'm really enjoying it. Other than that, like you said, the Division 2, I've been playing Gran Turismo because I was just able to nab a PlayStation 5 again. So that I was excited about that.
Tell that story real quick of how you had it, but you never really had it.
Yeah, I had one. Well, originally I had one set locked for day one. I had one pre-ordered at Target. I was supposed to get it day one, and I had reserved or whatever. And this was coming up a couple weeks until launch day, and they canceled my pre-order out of nowhere. And I was livid, man. Like I was upset. I was calling them and like, well, what the heck? You know, how you gonna do this? Well, it turns out they tried to charge my card twice, and my bank like didn't like that. You know?
Was it Target?
Yes, it was Target. Yeah,
it happened to me too. I accidentally bought 2. I had to hurry up and cancel one before they canceled my whole.
Well, so my bank thought it was something wrong with it, so they like said no. What? Right? And so they just canceled it. I didn't get notified and get a chance to get it or whatever. So I didn't find out until my wife happened to be like notice that the order was not there anymore. You know, and I had to call them. And so that pissed me off. But it took me months to be able to get one. And shout out to my buddy Pong Soul, who had given me his reservation that he had with PlayStation because I sent him one of those emails. And so I was able to get one then. I played it for like 3 or 4 months, like off and on, you know, but it kind of more started just sitting there a lot. I had a family member around Christmas time that really, really, really wanted one, like desperately, ever since launch, and I had another family member that wanted to give that to them Christmas. So I sold it to them for what I bought it for, and they were able to give it as a Christmas present, right? So I just felt like I had this thing sitting here, and I know how bad he wanted it. So I let it go, thinking I was going to be able to get one again before Gran Turismo came out.
That's 2 now.
So that was just the first one didn't ever show up, right? The first one didn't show up. So the second one, the one I actually did get, that one I sold to relatives, and I was waiting for Gran Turismo, and I was like, okay, February is gonna come. I'm gonna be able to find one. I'm just gonna try really hard. Didn't happen. It ended up didn't work out until this just last week or earlier this week. I don't know what, the 28th. When I found out GameStop was going to be having some bundles. So I went there at 7 a.m., 3 hours before they opened, got in line, and got myself a PS5 again.
Well,
so I could play Gran Turismo.
Hard way.
Yeah, so I could play Gran Turismo. So I'm excited. I got it again. We're good to go now. I got Ratchet and Clank, so I can finish that. It came with the bundle. Got Gran Turismo. Got I'm sitting on like $100 of GameStop credit, or that I transferred into PlayStation credit. I don't know what to spend it on right now because I don't really want Horizon Forbidden West.
Why don't you just get that that PlayStation Plus thing? Just try it out with that.
I may, try like a lot of those classics and stuff, But yeah, Returnal will be with that too, right? So I don't want to pay $70 for Returnal.
No.
So that's part of that. So I'll probably work it out that way.
Yeah, no, don't do that with Returnal, bro. Do not.
No.
Returnal, personally to me was pretty cool, but it's not my type of game. But like when it's on a subscription service, I don't think I'd want to pay $70 for a game like that.
Yeah, that's the beauty
I think it even went down though.
Right? And now it's $70 right now in the store, dude.
It's still 70? Oh,
yeah.
Bro.
Yeah,
I looked at Nintendo value right there, I guess.
Get one, but no, it's $70. One thing I did do is I upgraded my Ghost of Tsushima to the director's cut.
Oh yeah, so now you can feel the grass on your fingers.
Yeah, I want to get those happy haptics with my fingertips.
Yeah, but I honestly think Gran Turismo has the best haptics right now of all of the PS5 games. I'm not sure how many different ones that you got to try, but Spider-Man was disappointing with the haptics. Dirt 5 was pretty cool with the haptics.
Ratchet and Clank was the worst, man.
Ratchet and Clank was like more exhausting than anything.
Oh god, it was annoying. The game started right away, and I started like having to fight the trigger just to fire a shot. I was like, okay,
you're right.
Like this is not for me. It became annoying more than actually enhancing the gameplay. And if you're becoming like a distraction for me instead of improving, then then it's not for me. It's like those those 4D movies now. You go see like Jurassic Park or like Captain America or something like that or whatever, and you sit in the chair and it's like doing this like the whole time, and it's cool. Like if you're going at like a theme park or something, and you're doing like for a little experience for something you don't care about. But when you're going to actually watch something you actually really care about, it's just a distraction. It's not enhancing anything. You know what I mean? And that's the way like I feel like haptics have been for most of the games for me. I usually turn them off. Now, I was excited to see how they would work with Gran Turismo, because my theory in my head was like this would be something that would always be good for racing games. And it is. Like, it works great.
Mm-hmm. It sure does.
So I love it for Gran Turismo. I do not like it for shooters so far at all.
Not exactly so far. The only game that I shoot in at all that I've noticed that it's kind of cool in is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, really?
Because you get like phone calls. I mean, after a while it gets annoying, and then you want to turn it off.
You feel your like finger like pulse with the phone call?
It's more or less like the phone call comes in through the controller.
Oh, with the audio thing?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
just thought that was kind of a nice touch because you can still hear your person talking on the TV. You hear the radio on the TV,
Yeah.
but the phone call is like
I,
in your
I
controller.
like that stuff. They had that in PS4 too, like with the voices coming through the controller and stuff. I've always kind of liked that. I thought that was pretty neat.
It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat for sure. But moving along, now I had asked you the same question I like to ask everybody before the show, and that is, what was your first console that you had, access to easily?
Hmm.
And you said that your first console was the Intellivision,
Yes.
which is the rarest first console that I've had on this show so far.
Oh yeah, it's just
Oh yeah.
probably because I'm a little maybe older. I don't know.
I've had all sorts of people on here. I've
Yeah.
had King David,
Yeah, he's old.
Boom. I
And
mean,
most
like, I've
people's like
had some
Atari or
older
something,
people.
or yeah, most people are like Atari or Commodore 64 stuff like
Right.
that for like the older crowd. Yeah, ours was in television. I don't know why we had it in television. I wasn't there in the decision making process, but I freaking loved it. I didn't know any better as like toddler when I first started playing on the thing. You know what I mean? But like it was there in the living room. And when it wasn't played, a lot of times we keep it like in a box in the closet. Even after the other consoles came out, even after we had other consoles later on, we'd still pull that thing out of the closet and plug it in because it had so many cool games on it. Like I was just naming some like Astro Smash and Burger Time, Snafu. These are ones that just coming to the top of my head that I remember playing a lot. There was Frog Bog, and there's a game called Utopia. And like I played all those games and kind of learned what gaming was with the Intellivision, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I just had a blast because I played with my brother and my sister. They were both way older than me, so they kind of taught me, and they were patient and played with me and stuff. So that's where my love of gaming started, and I remember obsessing over it even then. Like that was my favorite thing to do is when they brought that out and plugged it into the TV. So I loved it, man. I've never stopped loving video games.
So was it at that point, like, how old were you when you started doing that?
Well, I was born with it in the house, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, they were playing it, and I just kind of probably started grabbing the controller, messing around with it. Like I was talking to you before we went live, because like the Intellivision, it had individual sleeves for the controllers that had pictures of what the commands were. So even as like probably 3 years old, 2 years old, I can't tell you 100% at what age, but really, really little, like I could see the pictures and know what it did. And then like the movement was like this big knob, right?
Right.
So, I would say anywhere between like 2 to 8, I was playing on the Intellivision.
Damn. So there's a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, for several years, yeah. And then even after that, we would still pull it out of the closet and play on it, but it was rough then. It like, all the pads, on it had all worn down. The numbers buttons on the Intellivision controllers had started having holes in them. You know what I mean? You couldn't. A lot of the pictures were rubbed off on the insert cards at that point. We played the heck out of that thing, man. Like, it was just something like we did as a family, right? Like me, my brother, and my sister together a lot. So it was a blast. And I probably didn't play the games properly when I was like a toddler, but like as I got to like 5, 6, even like most of the games are pretty simple, and you could really figure them out, and it just had a lot of fun. So I still like I had hope for the Amico or Amico, however you pronounce it, to come back. It doesn't. I don't know if that thing's ever going to see the light of day, just because it has that same like it has a nostalgia factor for me for like back then. But we'll see. I don't know if it's going to make it out.
Who knows? But going from that point, so that was your introduction into video games.
Mhm.
Fantastic. What was the next console that kind of just pulled you over and you're like, all right, I'm all in on this?
So the first one that we brought into the house after that was a Sega Master System, and I was young still. Like I said, like this is like early '80s, so it's probably like 86, 87. I would say probably when we got that. My brother had got it for his birthday or something. He was older than me, right? So it wasn't my choice what we got at that time. I was too young to make any kind of decision like that. So we got a Sega Master System, and I remember that was the first games we started playing with the light gun. With a Safari game. It's like their version of Duck Hunt. Instead
Yeah.
you shoot like panthers running across the field and stuff like that.
How did you like
had
that light gun compared to the NES?
I didn't care. I played both. We didn't own an NES at our house, but I had a lot of friends that had NES.
Right, everybody got a friend that got an NES back then.
Yeah, so I was always playing on the NES, like every week, like 3 days out of the week, I was playing on the NES for years. You know what I mean? Same, and we had the Master System in my bedroom, like at home. You know what I mean? So we were playing that a lot, and I didn't really care. I mean, they seemed like, oh, they both worked and they were fun to play. But yeah, Sega had a lot of good games. They had Double Dragon. They had like their own football game on there. They had like had Alf on the Sega Master System, was really good. There's a lot of stuff, man. But that kind of like cemented my again, like growing up even more. Like, okay, this is like something that I still love. It's not just that one console is an experience. Oh, this is even better than the other thing, right? And I like this even more. And then when I was like 9, it was my birthday, and I was at the age I finally got to get something, right? So then I got an SNES, and then I was like, that was it. There's every console after that I was looking forward to, and just loved it, man.
Okay. So what brought you, like, from that point, like, because you're how old at that point when you're using that Master System and everything?
It's hard to remember, man, because I don't remember what year it came out. I know we didn't get it like the year it came out, right? I was talking about memories from when I was like 4 or 9 years old, so probably like 6, 7, something like that for the Master System.
So you were still bouncing between that and then television, just kind of playing them both as you could.
Yeah.
And then from there, transitioning to now, let's say, teenage years.
Oh, teenage years was everything. PlayStation, Dreamcast, Xbox.
What was the
Xbox
home
hit when I was
console,
18. The home console? When I was a teenager? I mean, there wasn't really one, because
there wasn't one that you woke up or like got off of school and you turned that on first.
That became the Xbox, but that was kind of like not until I was like 20, because it didn't come out till 2001, I think.
Yeah.
So that's like 18. So I think around like 19 at that point it became the Xbox, because like Halo, and I played it all the time with my friends. But before that, it was the Dreamcast. Before that, it was the PlayStation 1. Then after the Dreamcast was the PlayStation 2. Then it was the Xbox. The GameCube I never really got into. But before that, it was the 64. I just was into everything, man. I didn't really like have a preference, really. I just liked to play the games, and I wanted to have everything. At the point, though, like a lot of times I couldn't have everything just because of money. So I would play the games of like trading stuff in to get the other thing, and then do that for a while, then trade it in to get the other thing. And, as always, kind of like wanted to play whatever the most popular and the best things were. And then when Xbox hit, like that, especially Xbox Live, that kind of changed the game for me. But Xbox Live didn't hit till I was like 19, 20.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I'm already like kind of grown up, and you know what I mean. So it's like a teenage years is kind of like hard, right? Because I didn't really have just one. It was kind of everything, man. Like, um, I wouldn't say any one stood out above the rest, except I enjoyed the Dreamcast the most, but it had such a short life,
Right. It sure did.
you know. So I can't really like say, oh, that put it over the PlayStation 1, you know what I mean? Or even the PlayStation 2, because I love my PlayStation 2.
That whole generation, Dreamcast, GameCube,
Yeah.
Xbox, PS2, incredible.
Yeah. I think I moved between consoles so dang quickly at that time.
Yes, I think a lot of people did, including myself. I mean, I
Yeah.
was on that train of, ooh, I got as much as I can get out of this right now. I'm gonna go ahead and trade it in and get me the other console that I've been looking at. So
Yeah, it had all
like,
those other games you haven't got to play yet.
exactly. So I went from GameCube, or actually, I went from Dreamcast to GameCube to PlayStation 2 and then Xbox.
Yeah. The GameCube's the only one that didn't click for me. Like I bought it twice and traded it in like almost like within like a month each time.
Damn.
I don't know. There's something about that system just didn't click, you know. I wanted
I
to
get
like
that.
it because it's got some good games on it, but like I don't know. But and it's still to this day, that Mario, what's it?
Sunshine?
Sunshine, yes, is the only one I haven't played.
Wow, I actually like that one too.
Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people say it's their favorite one. But it's the one I did not play.
It's a fantastic one. I'm not gonna lie, it was like one of the, if not the first one where it's like your Mario character is not exactly just using his own powers, he's using the powers of something else.
Right, which I think turned me off from it. For some
It
reason.
turned a lot of people off. It turned me off initially until I really dug in and played it for quite some time. And then I was like, oh,
I was still
pretty cool.
obsessed with Mario 64, like thinking that was the best thing ever at that time, you know.
Hey, you can argue that it still is if you want. You really
I
could.
didn't really like Galaxy either, though. You know, I don't know. A lot of people did. I never really got into it. I liked the whole one big open world kind of go between places like Mario 64 was, and I feel like I wanted them to take the next evolution of that, but instead they kept doing different Mario stuff, right?
What do you think of one of the latest ones, Odyssey?
See, Odyssey, I feel like they're trying to go back to what Mario 64 was. It just didn't. It didn't click again for me. It's pretty good. I have fun with it.
It totally did feel like Mario 64, kind of a little bit of a knockoff-ish version.
Yeah,
of it.
it didn't feel like. I don't know. It felt like they took like What was the Super Mario 3D Land? Is that the name of the other one? It's like they took pieces of that and then smashed it into like a 64 Mario 64 type game, and then here's like what we came up with. I don't really have any issues with it. It just doesn't capture the feeling for me of Mario 64. Like, I don't know. I did like Super Mario Brothers Wii. But since then, no Mario game has like been like, oh, I freaking love this. Yeah.
I feel like sometimes with these Mario games, and what's up, Snake in the chat, but I feel like some of these Mario games are trying to incorporate like a sidekick a little too hard.
Yeah, that's like the hat.
I mean, the hat, you could say it with Sunshine, because I mean that turned a lot of people off from wanting to jump in. I mean, there's always this side character that's just not quite good enough.
Yeah,
to me,
it feels
personally.
gimmicky. It like the hat felt gimmicky to me. Like the whole, I don't know.
I did think it was kind of a cool touch to. I mean, if you're gonna have that option, it can be 2-player. So me and my wife went completely through Odyssey and beat that game together, and it was just kind of fun. It was super lazy. I was the hat because I wanted her to finally, because I was like, I got you in a game. I'm gonna make you engage. So you're Mario,
Right?
I'm the hat. I'm just gonna kick back and just kind of throw myself around to places. So that, I mean, I thought that was cool, but at the same time, like playing it single player. It was a totally different feeling.
So what I wanted them to do was do like a Mario 64 sequel at some point, and then do it bigger, like even a bigger world, and then allow you to switch between like Mario, Luigi, Peach, and like Toad, right?
Okay.
And that was like what I thought the next step would be, and then maybe like more pickups, more power ups, you know, like get like the Super Mario World cape going, and like, you know, you get like all the classic nostalgia pickups, like you could do the raccoon tail and ears or whatever, and you know, you got your fireball stuff. I feel like they could have had an awesome thing with that, and they just never went there. I don't know.
Where would you like to see Mario in the sense of like, or let me reword this. Where would you like to see like a game like Mario in 20 years from now? And I'm saying like you can use like new hardware when talking about this kind of stuff instead of
Right.
Switch. Like, what would you like to see?
The thing about Mario is it's like I don't think Mario needs to be like fancy or anything. I think it just needs to have well-designed levels and like a good well-designed levels and just good basic mechanics, right?
Okay.
And I think you have a lot of fun with that, like great environments. I would love to see exactly what I talked about. I don't like ever picture Mario being like something that's gonna be like mind-blowing with like graphics.
You don't see like an Unreal Engine 5 Mario.
I mean, even if it's made in Unreal Engine 5 at some point, I mean, nobody would ever be able to tell, you know what I mean, or know, you know, because it's not going for like realism, you know. That's how they're able to get those games out on a system like the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, the Switch is like a potato, like inside, you know. It's like you really have like iPhone 6 type graphics capability and stuff on a Switch, and you're still making new games on it, right? So like a lot of those Nintendo games are able to function really well because they're, you know, so like simplistic with the graphics, but they make them look good regardless because of art style, right?
Right.
So it's in the art of those games that makes them special. So like, I don't know if they, for a Mario game, if they need to like have any fancy system or whatever 20 years from now, but I would love to see them go back to the roots a little bit with the classic Mario games that we used to get back in the day, kind of expand upon that. Like Super Mario World was fantastic, and I think they try to do that with like the Super Mario Brothers Wii games and the Wii U games, but they didn't really hit the mark. I think they kind of were, especially the Wii U one, we're kind of just like maybe just, oh, here's an excuse to do some levels, and you know, I think that they could bring some more creativity back into it, kind of like the first 4 Mario games. That's what I would love to see. And then Mario World, or not Mario World, Mario 64. Go back and find out what made that game special and bring it to modern day. You know, that's what I want.
Man, I feel like it's just the versatility of the way that you use your character mixed with, I mean, that music in Mario 64 to me was amazing, and it made you excited when you sat down to play that game.
And you had to learn how to use the environment to your advantage and stuff, and like you had the same abilities throughout the entire game, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Every once in a while, you could fly.
You had to learn how to master it.
That's really it. There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, there's a few other things that you could like kind of more for use depending on the stage that you were in. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Same mechanics everywhere.
Yep. I think they've lost trying to do too many different things, that they've lost like the core focus sometimes on like what makes the game special. So, and that goes for a lot of different games too, though. I think they could do amazing things if they just get back to that. And not that their games are bad. A lot of people love them still to this day. I mean, I still like them. They don't have that special feeling that they did back in the day.
Got it. Now, just to kind of sum up that area of gaming, what ended that generation for you? Like, so you had the Xbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end of that generation. What was like the last few games that you remember playing before you made the transition to like 360 or PS3 or whatever?
Ooh, that's a tough question, man, because my memory sucks.
That
So last couple games I
you
remember,
remember. That's fair.
I, I was really into sports games a lot, so I was playing a lot of like ESPN NFL 2K5 at the
Oh,
time,
let's go.
right? And I'm pretty sure that was still OG Xbox, and
Yes,
I
it
think it was
was.
right at the tail end because it was like 2005. I was still playing a crap ton of Halo 2. You know, I played that since the day it came out for until Halo 3 came out, right? I'll tell you another one. Far Cry Instincts Predator.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I was
So you were on
really
the
into
Far
that.
Cry train already in the
Oh
OG
yeah, like
Xbox.
from day one. As soon as it was on console, I was a huge Far Cry fan. The map editor in that game was on console, and that like blew my mind. So like we were making maps and doing custom games and custom game servers and based on our custom maps and other stuff all the time, and it just absolutely floored me. I was trying to get so many people to come and try it. You know, I was like, hey, you stop, like, come play this game with me. Like, and I remember just like telling everybody like that I knew on there, there's like, you gotta come play Far Cry, you gotta come play Far Cry, you know. I freaking loved it, man. It's still like, 'cause you can, that game's backwards compatible. You can go play it and mess with that map editor today. It's still amazing.
All right. Now let's go on to the next generation. So, did you have the PS3, 360, or what was your console of choice, or did you have everything at that point?
I had everything. And console of choice was the 360. It's like the PS3 like didn't ever click for me because I like 360 had party chat. They had implemented that, you know. I was playing like games like socially online a lot. I was playing games like Dead or Alive and Halo 3 and Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter and Rainbow Six Vegas and all these shooters and even the sports games, and I was always like in a chat with people talking, you know. And I felt like when I played on my PlayStation, I felt like alone. You know what I mean?
Still
Like, and
feel
it's
that way today.
yeah, it still feels that way today, 100%. Like, they've never like like you could go and play Call of Duty and you play games and you can see like you hear the in-game chat going and all that stuff, but I've never had that sense of like community and like playing with friends and party chatting it up and everything on PlayStation. And I don't know if it's just because I spent so much time on Xbox, uh, but that's always gravitated to me since then. That's what I turn on is the Xbox, right? And that's what I see who's online, you know, hit people up at the party chat, you know what I mean? Like all that kind of stuff. And PlayStation was great. The other thing is that in the 360 days, like the first half of that generation, 360 had a lot of great exclusives back then, a lot of great games, and PlayStation 3 had a lot of misses at the time, right? Their great exclusives came later in the PS3 generation. That's when I kind of got more into it, like Uncharted, like 2, I think, kind of got me into there. Maybe 3 even. I think that 3 even come out on the PS3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 and 3. Then I went and back and played 1, you know, and I love 4. Uncharted is one of my favorite franchises. But you know, it really a lot of the like Resistance didn't click for me, you know.
Last of Us, did that click at all for you back then?
No.
Does it
Killzone
today?
didn't. No, it still doesn't. It feels too like somber and depressing when I play that game, man. I don't know what it
I get it.
I don't know what it is. There's certain like a certain vibe or feel I get when I'm playing certain games that kind of keeps me not wanting to go back to the world. Right. That's one of the reasons I don't like a lot of the Souls games because of how dark and oppressive they make me feel when I'm playing them. It's not just so much about the difficulty. It's like, so the music is like slow and dark and depressing, and it's like the gameplay is slow, and like it's like a lot of times I kind of like
Everything feels
just
super dead.
yeah, and I don't really like I'm kind of like upbeat, like type person. When I play that game, it kind of puts me in like this like I don't like feeling like this, you know what I mean? So a lot of times I don't dive back into certain games like that. Some
How'd
of
you
them
feel
I
about
don't
Elden
mind.
Ring though?
Elden Ring is cool for like the open parts, right? I really like the exploring because you have a lot more freedom of an approach. But when I get into the mansion or the castle or whatever, then I get that like regular Souls game vibe, and then it kind of loses me.
It's a little
So,
claustrophobic feeling.
well, it becomes an open world RPG, and it transforms into like a traditional Souls game for a period, right? And when I'm in that zone, I don't really enjoy it that much. But I think they're fantastic games. Like when I say like it wasn't for me, like Last of Us, I look at that and I'm like, wow, that like I can tell it's like a masterpiece. Like the gameplay's solid, the writing is solid, the acting, everything is great, but it doesn't make me want to go back and play it personally. You know what I mean? So it's just something about some of the franchises with some of those games just don't click as much for me.
So I'm guessing you didn't like Devil May Cry that much.
Not Devil May Cry, but I did like DMC, which is everybody's least favorite Devil May Cry game.
Yeah, the Ninja Theory one.
Because it was more fun, I thought. You know what I mean? I don't know, like
It
something
is
about
goofy.
it. Yeah, something about it clicked more with me, and I played through that whole game. I loved it. But the Devil May Cry series in general, no, I did not. I don't know what it is. Even the last one, I got Devil May Cry 5. I just couldn't get into it.
It's very soulsy kind of feeling, and some of those, especially with the early, like Devil May Cry 1 and 2, those didn't age the best. So going back and playing those is extra rough. 3 is, I know that's a lot of people's favorite ones, but I feel like I'm having a harder time clicking with 3 than I am the first two, which is weird. Which is freaking weird. I don't get it. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because I haven't got to that devil trigger part yet with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like Ninja Gaiden like was one of those games that's like ridiculously hard, but like that clicked with me. Like the on the original Xbox, I really liked Ninja Gaiden. So, I don't know what it is different about it, but for some reason I liked it. I liked it a lot. But I just can't usually get into Souls games for the most part. I did like Neo, the first one on PlayStation 4.
You liked? I hated that game.
But I liked the first half of it, and then I got stuck on a certain part. Then I got frustrated, and I just stopped playing because I started playing something else. And that's usually kind of how it is with those.
Okay, well, moving forward, so 360 was console of choice. Played the hell out of that. Can you give me a few games that really solidified that generation for you with Xbox specifically? And then I want you to bring up a few on PlayStation that you loved other than, I guess you named a few already, so you can do that one if you want.
Yeah. So for 360 for Xbox, man, I'll say Halo 3 and Halo Reach. Specifically, like both of those were fantastic. Okay. Now a lot of people will say that they didn't like this one, but for me, it was one of my favorites because of the multiplayer, and that was Splinter Cell Double Agent.
Wow.
Yeah, the Spies versus Mercs on Double Agent was absolutely freaking amazing. Like Chaos Theory, it was great. On original Xbox and Pandora Tomorrow, the Spies versus Mercs were great. But the best Spies versus Mercs mode, period, was on Double Agent. People didn't like Double Agent as much because of the campaign, right? It wasn't as good. But Spies versus Mercs was legit, 100% legit on Double Agent. Now, the servers sucked. So you had to keep fighting those servers. But yeah, that was like a super memorable one. And then I'll say, geez, man, I get my generations all mixed up between like Xbox and Xbox 360. And I'll say Far Cry 3.
Far Cry 3.
Yeah, because that
You are on that Far Cry.
Oh yeah, I love Far Cry. Far Cry 2 is great also. But Far Cry 3 kind of catapulted it into another
that's a lot of
level.
people's favorite one.
And it's where like Far Cry at that point became not just a popular game, it became a mainstream game after 3. It was like everybody knew Far Cry after that point. Everybody had played Far Cry after 3 and all that kind of stuff. When I'd already been on the Far Cry train, so I was like really excited to see that. But the sad thing was they kind of got away from some of the things that I did love about the originals. Was like the whole map editor, custom game browser situation going on with the online, and because there's more focus, rightfully so, put on the campaign, but that was so successful that they followed that model so hard that the whole map editor thing became like just became a non thing for them.
Took the back seat.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, and then I mean, I know you named a few on PlayStation 3, like Uncharted. What was a couple others?
Uncharted was great. Infamous.
Did you like the original Infamous?
I didn't like the original Infamous. No, I have to admit it.
see, there's several people that I've asked, not exactly on the show, but just in general, what they thought about Infamous, and then the next one after that, and they say just the leap and bound was just enormous and crazy, right. and now people are going back and saying that they don't really like the first Infamous as much anymore.
Right. True. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, there's so many freaking great games from both consoles. Like I could say Dead or Alive on the 360. I could say Soul Calibur 4 on there, but like a lot of these are multi-plats, because I didn't really care. Forza Motorsport always on there as well. Gears as well. But then on PlayStation, it's like harder because like some of them didn't click for me. Like Uncharted really, really clicked. Resistance didn't click. Killzone did not click whatsoever. I did never like Killzone. They had Little Big Planet and stuff was kind of big back then. I kind of liked it, but no, I wasn't like in love with it. So Infamous I did like, but it wasn't until the second one that clicked for me. So I'm trying to think of other PlayStation exclusives that I liked. Oh, here's the Show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One of the reasons I always had to have a PlayStation was because of the Show.
Yep, MLB The Show.
Yeah, and I started playing that on PS2, right? And then that never stopped, right? I don't play it as much as I used to. It's crazy that it's on Game Pass on Xbox now.
Yes.
It's like just, but I
the second year in a row.
Yep. I always like to play Road to the Show and play the career mode on that. So
dope.
Definitely.
So obviously, I'm guessing if you were this in love with Xbox from the original one, 360, you were there from the jump with Xbox One. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was there launch day. Yeah.
So you got the Kinect. What was your favorite things about the Kinect, if you have any?
Okay, so I liked being able to say Xbox on.
That was nice. I ain't gonna lie.
I like that. I liked saying Xbox record that. And I liked it for like Skype and stuff for family.
You actually used it for Skype?
Occasionally, my in-laws like live like really far away, and occasionally, we would do it because it would like kind of broadcast the whole living room. Right, and it would kind of follow you around and stuff. So when my daughter was little, she would be able to talk to grandparents. Like we only did it a few times, you know, but like it was pretty cool when she was like a baby and real little to be able to have that interaction on the big screen, you know. Um,
Absolutely.
Other than that, I mean, just like some Connect Sports was okay. I didn't ever really like it for any games. I feel like it was a big ass waste of resources and time and investment from Xbox, and it ruined a couple of their studios. And it
Remember
had
Fable?
potential. Yeah, I didn't even touch that
Fable
game,
for
you know?
Connect.
I feel like they like lost their direction with their first party at the time, and for me, I didn't like. There's so much other stuff to play. I've never been like, oh my god, you know, like it sucks. I still enjoyed playing because I still was sitting there talking to my friends and playing games, right? And it kind of sucked that era, because we lost a lot of things. I was upset when Lionhead shut down, you know, because I loved Fable, love that franchise.
I actually
And
just beat the first Fable for the first time.
really,
Yes.
what'd
I
you think?
just did that today, in
Wow.
fact.
It, does it hold up still for you?
Kind of.
I mean, it's
Like,
pretty dated now. You're talking about almost a 20-year-old game, right?
yeah, and I mean, I was playing the anniversary one, and
It still feels the same as the old school one though. Like the anniversary one is like updated like a little bit, like with graphics and stuff, but not hard, barely.
so like, I watched a little thing that I believe like Digital Foundry was talking about it or something, and I was like, oh, like I never actually got into that game
Hmm.
because I was super into sports back then, and like what was it, like Army games and Halo and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I got down on Conflict, Desert Storm, and Vietnam, and Back to Baghdad and stuff like that. So like now I'm going back and playing these old games because it's a little quiet right now for me with like new releases of games. I mean,
Hmm.
there's been a few. Sniper Elite's been pretty cool. You know, GT7, played a little bit of Horizon, some other games, but I've been mostly tackling older games as of lately, and hopping into Fable was different. I played it a little bit as a kid, but not as not. I never got into it. Like I played it for a little
Yeah.
bit, was running around the town, and like turned it off. But now that I went back and played it, I was like, man, like if the new Fable is anything like, I'm just comparing it to one because I haven't got to 2 or 3 yet. So I was thinking, man, if the new
Two's the
Fables,
best.
if the new Fable's anything like the first one, it'd be kind of cool in the sense of having just so many damn areas. If they can turn that into like, instead of having like 4 areas for like one spot, just turn it into one big open world kind of spot, and then you travel to like, you know, the cemetery area or something
Yeah.
like
So
that,
you'll like
and
two a
that's its
lot.
own. Yeah, okay, so maybe I will, because I'm trying not to get ahead of myself because I don't know what's next.
Two is the best. Two is the best. Three is kind of different, you know. Like three takes a twist on the series. But one thing that remains like true about all the Fables is like this story gets you really engaged, and it kind of pushes you forward. Like you feel compelled when you play, and it's kind of like self-motivating in a way. Like it's something about the narrator on there, the way they kind of guide you through
I
a little
love the
bit.
narrator,
Yeah.
man. Sometimes some of the stuff he was saying, I was like at the end of the game when I beat it, he is like, "You can now do the middle finger." I was like, "What the
Yeah.
hell?"
Yeah, I love it, man. It's like got its own unique character. There's nothing like Fable, man. And I feel like this next one, when it eventually comes out, like it's unfortunately a lot of people have never touched a Fable game, you know, because it's just been so long, right? But
Sure.
I feel like it has a chance to really grab a new audience. So I'm hoping it stays true to the core elements of it. One of my favorite franchises, but brings it forward because I mean, Fable 3 still kind of holds up gameplay wise and stuff, but like still not really like they don't hold up mechanically very well.
No,
You know?
it's rough mechanically on
Yeah.
as I said, I just got done beating this game, so I went through some areas and like in the city, it's the worst. Like it feels like there's just a lot of like frame issues,
Yeah.
like a lot of just like kind of clipping going on while I'm walking through, and
Yeah.
it just
I mean, you get they were like pushing the boundaries for making those games at that time. You know what I mean?
it says, you know, FPS boosts and auto HDR and all that stuff, but like you can tell that like the FPS boost could only do so much to help that game. It was still having some super issues with it, but it was still really fun to play. If you've never played a Fable game, I would still recommend it because just the story alone in it
Yeah.
is
It's
really
worth playing just
interesting. The directions that you can take your character, um, just some of the like relationships that you can have with people can just be torn apart in the matter of just choosing yes or no on a certain area. And I think that's really cool. I mean, that's typical RPG stuff, but in that game it's just kind of interesting because it wouldn't take you when I first was playing it, I was like, oh, this seems kind of soft and nice. But you get into playing the game and it's actually pretty cold. There's actually some areas where it's like, man, this is terrible. Like Jack, the guy, the main guy that you got to fight at the end. What he does to, you know, some of your family members, it ain't very nice. It ain't
Yeah,
nice.
they go some dark places in Fable, man. Yeah, you're gonna like 2 a lot. 2 is like, I think everybody's like epitome of what a Fable game should or could be, right? And like if they took what 2 is and expanded upon that, is what I think most people would love for the new Fable.
Yeah, I've been really trying to get into RPGs because I classically wasn't big into RPGs. I was always big into sports or online games. Ark Survival Evolved was the game that I probably beat the hell out of the most.
Oh yeah, no, I never got into that. I tried it. I just
don't
didn't know what
blame.
the hell was going on. I was on a beach and I was like naked and I had to go find rocks and I was getting chased by dinosaurs and I was like, nope, okay. And I played it really early when it was in game preview, like after it
Oof.
first hit, and it was like really rough, janky, like frame rate was like felt like 10 frames a second. You know, I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah, jank is almost a compliment for what that thing was.
Yeah.
That thing crashed it felt like every like 20, 30 minutes. You're trying and then getting into the game itself took like, I'm not lying, like 5 minutes to load.
Yeah, I don't have that level of patience.
I feel that. So now we're on today's consoles and everything. You already talked about how you got, you know, your PlayStation and, you know, the 3 different, you know, trials that you had with that. Xbox,
Yeah.
did you have that on launch?
Yeah, I had 2 at launch.
2 at launch. Okay, you're riding high.
At launch, I was supposed to get 2 Series X's and 1 PS5. Ended up getting both my Series X's, but PS5 didn't work out.
So what kind of snapped with you with the Xbox Series X when it first came out? What was like the biggest thing for you that they improved upon from previous generations?
So the most exciting thing for me going into it was not just like knowing like Xbox was like fully like back into it and committed with all of their, you know, acquisitions they're doing and like Game Pass. But the biggest factor was the whole bring all of your games along with you, and a lot of them are going to be improved. Right. And this is like the first, and I talked about this before the consoles came out, like it was the videos and stuff. I was trying to do videos at the time. And I was like, this is the first generation really that we have the promise of real full back compat where we're getting improvements on our old library, with new hardware, and that's like a new thing, and that's a big deal because beforehand your games kind of got devalued or got old and stuff, but never have I bought like a new hardware and my games that I own got better.
Right.
And that's a huge deal. So like all the stuff they did with like the resolution boost, they got the FPS boost, the auto HDR, adding more games in the back compat and all this stuff. Like I went and played games that were on last gen and like they just feel like completely new. And I feel like it added value to the games that I own. Right. So for me, it was like, especially when you're digital, like you can't do anything with those digital games. Like they just sit there, right, on your hard drive or whatever. So if you're not getting a improvement or benefit on those games, it's like kind of like a disservice when you're selling a digital product to somebody, you know, like promise of like updates and improvements should be there with new hardware, you know. And that's good, especially in the digital age of gaming, and that's where we're at. And I feel like that was the biggest promise for me for the generation, and like Xbox's like vision of the future of gaming, where you know your library is going to come with you, and as you get new hardware you're going to get updates and the games are going to get better and all this stuff. And they've been doing that, man. And like it really clicked for me like early on, like a Master Chief Collection, playing it on the Series X was like, you know, that was a game changer, dude. That, and there's so many games that started playing on there that I was like, wow, this is like, you can't go back. Started playing those games at 60 frames, at 4K 60, you know. It was a game changer. The other thing, like just 60 frames on new games too. Like Valhalla wasn't everybody's favorite Assassin's Creed game, but when I booted up Valhalla and I was in a huge, massive open world like that with all the stuff there is to do, and you're playing like at pretty much 4K and it's running at 60 frames, that was never possible before, man. Like not on a console, you know, like that hit different. You know, I was like, wow, this is next level. And then I understood like what all the PC gamers were always talking about frames, you know, how frames surpasses resolution. And
that's crazy, because that never made sense to me either. When people would always be like,
yeah,
"Oh man, I'll lower the resolution," and I'm like, "Excuse me, like what do you mean lower the resolution? I want all the resolution I can get."
I was the
They're
same,
like, "Oh
man.
man, but you can get more frames," and I was like, "I just don't, I just don't see that."
Yeah.
And then now with these new consoles, it's like, what was I doing? Like, no wonder I was getting dizzy during some of these games. I could. Or not exactly dizzy, but you know, like, you know, it feels like you're kind of like, you know, that film grain in the game, or that motion blur within the games would just kind of bother you a little bit.
It's made games that I thought were bad before make me realize they're actually good games. They're just held back by like the hardware, right? And it's amazing, dude. Like I've completely flipped on where I stood with the resolution thing beforehand. And that's one of the reasons I think the Series S is amazing. You know, like
You ain't lying.
I have two, one in my daughter's bedroom and one in the living room, right? And freaking those games when they're running on that look way better than the One X, and they're at a lower resolution, you know, because the games are in motion, right? You can be on a 65-inch screen. The games are in motion. You get the higher fidelity in the game, the graphics, the textures, and all this kind of stuff, right? Makes a bigger difference than the resolution on the screen that's being upscaled anyway, right? So when I see the games running on the Series S, I'm like, what? That's doesn't look too much different at times in the Series X, to be honest with you. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty freaking crazy. And that console is that price, you know, $300 for that is absolutely bananas as far as value goes. And I look at like the Switch, it's also $300. You know, you get the portability of it and stuff, but just dope. The tech behind like both now, it's like, wow, like it's pretty crazy the value you're getting. with like a Series S. But yeah, that's just that whole thing, man, with like back compat and the updates on the games and all this stuff. I think it's like a game changer for like the industry and stuff. So that was one of the main things, and that was always unclear at first with PlayStation. It kind of became more clear closer to launch. There's a lot of PS4 games that got updates and boost on there as well. But I don't like that they're charging as like for a lot of the like updates now next gen, you know.
Like the Ghost of Tsushima one.
Yeah, because I love Ghost of Tsushima. That's one of the PlayStation IPs that really click with me, right? That game's great and I want the best of it. So they got me with that. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
I I didn't vote with my wallet. I'm sorry, but I can still say it sucks when one platform is giving you those kind of updates for free and the other one is not. You know what I mean?
Now on the flip side, and I am going to ask you the same thing about like the PlayStation and whatnot, since you now have that in your presence. But like, what is something that you don't like about Xbox right now?
The lack of first party games in 2022, I guess, is I mean, it's it. I mean, there's really nothing I don't like about the console itself. I love the console. In fact, I think this console is my favorite console of all time.
I mean, I think that's an easy thing to say because you can play pretty much, or I shouldn't say pretty much, but you can play a ton of your older stuff and, just like you just got done talking about, better quality, better frames and everything like that. And then you have like FPS boost, you got just the catalog that comes with Game Pass. So you have other pieces to the console that, make it even better. So I mean,
and I'll still say like Game Pass is the best exclusive every year, no matter what. Right now, like
you said, you use that as an exclusive. You said
it is like nothing else can compete with it. You're getting all these you're getting a lot of third party games, indie games. Day one, AA games, day one. We just got Sniper Elite 5, day one. You got MLB The Show, day one. You got, games like Loot River, there's so much stuff like constantly hitting there that you just can't keep up. And like for the fact that it sucks, it sucks that we don't have a great 2022 for first party releases. Then like the byproduct of that is knowing still all of the games in development, so I don't really like worry about it. It's not like oh no, like Xbox is in trouble, blah 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 blah. It's more like, oh geez, this again, more delays. Okay,
right.
Like
it's the same jargon. It feels like a little bit.
Let's finally get these things out. Let's finally start getting them out. And that's kind of like where I say, like, when you ask me that question, what's one thing I don't like about Xbox is like, I feel like they made some mistakes with some of their planning like years ago that we're still feeling in the effects now. And I think some of it was going on to getting off the reliance of third-party exclusives and timed exclusive deals, because their competition is still doing that to help bolster their lineups, and it helps add games to the lineup. In fact, you had Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop already launch on PlayStation, right? Those were both timed exclusive deals. You're gonna have, Final Fantasy 16, and you had already just had Final Fantasy 7 remake. You got a game like Forspoken as well coming, and it makes it seem like they have way more, like, as far as like bringing to their customers from their first party and stuff, but it's really because of their timed deals with their third party lineup, with their third party partners. And I remember like Xbox got a lot of flack back in the day after the Tomb Raider deal when they did that, and after that they kind of got away from it. Like, and Phil Spencer was like, yeah, I'm not really a big fan of these like exclusive time deals and stuff like that, and I think rightfully so. But if your lineup is not 100% ready to make sure you're going to be hitting the game at least two every quarter,
so you got to do something.
Every like 6 months or so, you need to have like 2 games, right? I think you really need to have like 3 to 4 big games a year, right? From any platform holder, and especially at least 2. You know what I mean? And when we have like the delay of Starfield Redfall, which you can't argue like, oh, that's the wrong decision to delay the game. Like that's never like something you should say because we want those games to be the best
Right.
possible. But like it reveals more of the hole that was left because of those decisions at that time, which again is probably the right thing in the long term, but everybody else is still doing that. You know, so they're making those deals and taking content away from people that are playing on your platform. And you're deciding you don't want to compete with that or get interjected into that business, right? Instead, they're focusing on bringing games into Game Pass, you know? But I do feel like there would be the whole of 2022 right now feels like a long wait for more big first party games. But that could all be null and void come June 12th if we have some big announcements, right?
That brings me to one of my that reminds me of a question I'm going to ask you here soon. But let's go on ahead and get through this last piece of the whole behind the scenes or, you know, past. What drew you to becoming a content creator? Oh yeah, before we go into that, I'm sorry, I told you I was going to do the same thing for the PlayStation. What do you like and what do you dislike about that console?
I like the controller a lot better than any PlayStation controller previously.
Thank you. Yes.
A huge upgrade. I like this is weird because what I like about the PlayStation is also what I dislike about the PlayStation.
For the controller?
No, one thing I like about the PlayStation is like or let me say this, okay? The most thing I'd usually dislike about the PlayStation is how alone I feel when I'm playing on the system. Like I'm a very social gamer, right? And I always have been. And I feel like when I'm playing that, I kind of leaving a community behind and playing on something where it's kind of like nobody really interacts, nobody talks, you know. So there's not a lot of multiplayer stuff going on. You're playing a lot of single player stuff. It's very isolated, right?
Feels like you're in a vacant 5-star hotel.
Right now, but that's also because it's so different. One of the things I do like about it, and now it's not every time that I like to do that, but sometimes you feel like, okay, you just want to like shut down, relax, just kind of be a loner and like play something you just get sucked into by yourself, right? And just I try and get compelled by a good story. I feel like PlayStation has a lot of content for that, right? I wish more of it clicked with me, but still, like Spider-Man, you know, you could sit there for like a week and just play Spider-Man, you know, and you kind of get there like you're taking a break from everything else, just you and that game, right? And that's the one thing I do like about PlayStation, but it's also like the thing I dislike about it at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, that totally makes sense because it's just you and the game at the end of the day. But like sometimes when you feel like being more social and whatnot, it's just flat out not there.
Yeah, I play a lot of multiplayer stuff, man. Like I do. I play a lot of co-op stuff. I play a lot of online stuff. Play a lot of competitive stuff, you know. And sometimes it's like I do play a lot of story-based stuff too. But like sometimes it's kind of like it's good to go and just vibe out and play something like that.
Yeah, I've never heard of anybody saying I play on PlayStation because of the community. Never heard it.
No.
Never heard. Not that it's a shot at PlayStation. Like,
No.
hey, like, hey, it's pretty cool that you can, you know, just zone out. Everything's gone. I'm in this game, but like, it is awkward, and also hopping into that PlayStation chat system, it's not the best either.
Oh man, I don't know what people are using. That's like, well, they're using walkie-talkies for chat. I don't know what is going on, man. I hop into like a Call of Duty lobby, like in PlayStation, or even like now that everything's crossplay. I can tell the PlayStation gamers right away because man, I don't know what the hell they're talking into, dude. It's like they got the cell phone headsets from like 2002 that's just one wire dangling, and it's got staticky and popping, and like you can hear everything in the background in the room. They got loud music playing at the same time, and they're all, it's just like cussing at their mom. Like I don't know, dude. It's like insane. It brings me back to like early 360 days, but like worse. But like the thing is, they like don't really talk to each other unless they're trying to talk crap. Nobody actually like just discusses the game or like, hey, like good game, bro, or like it's just like let's just like try and say the most shocking thing possible because I know that other people can hear me right now. And that's the way it is. And I hear that and instantly I just turn it off, dude. It is like it's like noise pollution, man. I don't know like how to describe it. It's like, it's just bad. It's so bad.
All right. So like, I swear that it doesn't matter what quality headphone that you have. It just sounds terrible. I believe. I could be wrong. But I've talked to people that have the PlayStation headset, the new one, the white one. I've talked to people that have, fairly decent, like Turtle Beaches or Arctis headsets. They all sound like you're talking about the walkie-talkie.
Yeah, like I'm gonna keep on your mom, bitch. Like it's like what is that? I don't understand what's going on right now.
All right, so we
I haven't
tackled
even
that.
played a game yet. Teabagging my mom.
Oh my god! What got you into content creating?
Man, I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. Like no. So I always wanted to kind of like do radio stuff when I was younger, but I was too chicken, to like go there. I was really big into sports and big time sports geek, but more into gaming. Just nobody really ever talked about gaming with me. My family, they always kind of pushed me to do like sports stuff. But like when COVID hit and everything, I started like, there's no TV to watch. There's no sports to watch. I'm sitting there playing games. I started kind of navigating YouTube a little bit, watching more stuff on there. I'd always listen to gaming podcasts, like on like in the car when I'm out working, right? Okay. But I listen to things like Podcast Unlocked and Game Scoop and Gamertag Radio and some of these have been around for forever, And I always kind of thought like either you had to have been in the game really early and started like Gamertag Radio did, or you had to be like a journalist or part of like one of these like groups or whatever, like the Easy Allies. They all came from GameTrailers.com, like all that kind of stuff. And so I was a fan of all these shows, but then I discovered like on YouTube, just by watching, I was like, wow, like there's a couple of like podcasts out there that people are actually started themselves, and I didn't really listen to them that much, but I became aware of it, like it was viable, like there was a community and like they had an audience, right? And that like intrigued me, so I kind of listened in a little bit, like okay, like I'm not really like wouldn't do my thing like what they're doing, but like I know that this like it's a viable option to like start a podcast just randomly yourself and try and gain an audience, right? And I try to combine like what I always wanted to do, like with talking about it, something I love, figured, hey, I'm gonna do it about what I actually love, do like gaming, right? Because it's like my number one passion, number one hobby. So I just had to get over the fear of being on camera and hearing my own voice and stuff. So I got a mic and I just started listening to little clips and bits that I did and myself just being stupid, Then I got comfortable sharing some of that stuff with my wife, and then I finally got the courage. I decided I didn't have anything, like any equipment really. I just got my camcorder that I had, like a regular camcorder, and I set it up, and I just recorded first episode of Xbox Ultimate, and I just recorded it myself, just me talking. and then I uploaded it to YouTube. I started dabbling, trying to make videos to try and get content pushed out, because I saw a YouTube video that says, in order to find an audience, in order for YouTube to suggest your videos, you need to make a lot of content. So I was like, okay, well, I want to try and gain an audience. I want to have conversations with people about gaming. I love Xbox. I want to do this show, try and build this community and everything. So I started trying to make videos, and then I started streaming games to get content on the channel, right? So that way I could find a platform for my podcast. It turns out I actually freaking ended up loving streaming, and people started coming around and hanging out and actually talking with people. And then I discovered like the community around Twitter and talking to everybody on there, and found out how amazing and supportive all these people are, started getting all these different friends and stuff, and then started being invited onto shows, and then invited them onto my show. And then
I'm going to stop you real quick.
Yep.
What was the first show that you got invited to?
That was Gaming Beyond the Box.
Wilmy.
Yep. I've only done three episodes of Xbox Ultimate at that time, and at the time I was doing those myself. I didn't do them live. I set up a camera and I recorded it. I talked for about an hour or so. Through the topics, all that stuff, and I uploaded it to YouTube, right? And started getting, like, by episode like 7 or 8, a little bit of an audience or so, right? But yeah, episode 3, like, even really early on, I don't know why he asked me. I don't know if he had seen something or saw me talk to somebody on Twitter, but like, he hit me up. It's like, hey, you want to hop on the show? Like, okay. And I was like nervous. I'd never done anything live before whatsoever. But yeah, that was the first one, man. And it just kind of like, went from there. Like after that, I did several guests. And I think following that, I did like the Shop podcast. I did 4GQ TV after that. NLG. I said several different shows, like back to back to back to back, and just became friends with a lot of people, got to know a lot of people in the community. Then episode like 15, or no, like 16, 17, I went live for the first time for our show. And then
Ultimate?
Yeah, for Ultimate. Yeah,
Okay.
So that was the first like live show. We had done like 15, 16 episodes before everyone went live. But I was nervous. I didn't know how to do live stuff. I knew how to stream. I had learned how to stream by that point and got that pretty far down. And I found out a lot of people discovered me because of streaming, which was always interesting to me because I was trying to do a podcast,
Right.
But I found out like, hey, this is like, I can do both because I actually really like streaming. Like I said, I'm like more of a social gamer, right? So when I have people like hanging out with me, like it makes it more enjoyable to play the games, regardless if I'm playing something single player or multiplayer or what, So I just kind of liked it a lot.
All right. Well, my next question I got for you is, what was probably, and I want this to be like a early part of your content creation. What was like a moment where you were just like, man, I am really proud of what I just did, or I'm proud of what I just got done being invited to, or I'm proud of the guests. Like, what was one of the most proud moments that you had within content creation?
Oh man. So last year when we did, I put together the community special for our channel, which was like something I had thought of, just a pie in the sky type idea, right? And I had went around and by this time I gotten to know a lot of people, and a lot of amazing people became friends, and I decided to send DMs out and see if I can get a special for our channel and do a recording. It turned out to be so much work. That's why I think it was rewarding, because of the amount of work I put into it, but I ended up doing like 20 individual interviews that I cut up and put it all into one video, like a rapid fire, right? For like a prediction special for E3. And just seeing it come together, and more so like seeing people's reaction to it. Like it didn't blow up, it didn't like get like hundreds of thousands of views or anything like that. I mean, it wasn't like a massive success or anything like that, but like for the people that watched it, like seeing the reactions and the comments and everything about it was like really rewarding because of the amount of work that I put into it. And I felt like it was something that was just a really cool, fun thing that I felt like honored that all these people like agreed to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
so that's one thing. I've gotten to do some cool interviews, you know, being part of different groups and stuff. Like, got to interview like Master Chief Steve Downs. That was really cool.
Wow.
That was like, man, I can't believe I'm sitting there talking to this guy right now. You know, I've been hearing his voice for 20 years. I'm sitting here having a conversation, super down to earth, you know. Stuff like that too was really cool. Other than that, man, just like, I don't know, random streams when they kind of pop off, and seeing like, you know, a couple hundred people in the chat all just hanging out and stuff. It's kind of like, it's just really cool when you have certain moments, and it's like you kind of feel like what you're working towards is clicking, and it's like you can see it getting there. You know what I mean? Because it's like a slow progress thing. It's not like something like, oh, I'm gonna do this and this channel's gonna be like blow up or whatever. It's more about like, I'm gonna put the energy out there that I want to. I'm gonna make this channel what I want it to be and have fun doing it, and never want it to be work. I want it to be something that people find value in. And if it's like a slow progress for me, that's great. And when I see like justification from the community that they like it, or that they want to be a part of it, and they keep coming back and leaving good comments and all that kind of stuff, it's just very rewarding. It's just like it makes you feel good that people want to be associated with you. You know what I mean? So that's probably it for me, man.
Okay. As a customer, like as a, or I shouldn't say customer, I should say as a viewer, what are a few things that you look for in other content creators to provide you a service?
Oh, that's a good one, because I feel like there's so many different kinds of creators, right? I feel like the ones that are the most valuable for me is when I'm searching stuff up on YouTube to try and figure out how to do stuff. It's like, that's like the only way I've learned how to do everything.
The real MVP, right?
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't know anything if it wasn't for the guys out there making those videos that get millions of views for somebody how to do something as simple as like how to get the best audio out of a DBX like 286,
or how to find your horse in Elden Ring.
Right. Like just the simplest things, like little questions. Like there's an answer for everything on YouTube, man. Like you could put your situation in, and you'll find somebody who made a video explaining, and they're gonna have a video showing how great that they were. Like, and you can hear it, you can see it, and it's like, wow, I need to do that. You know what I mean? So that's probably it for me, man. Just like value wise, that, but like gaming wise, like if you're talking about like podcasting and like gaming creators and all this kind of stuff, I say just being genuine and entertaining. Like I don't like, really, a lot of us don't know anything. We're just people that have our opinions, right? And I don't value like your opinion more than my opinion, or my opinion more than your opinion, or any of like the big creators as well. Like I don't necessarily value their opinion any more than anybody else's. It's how they deliver it, and if you're entertaining and having fun. And I find like the most value for me is if I'm entertained and enjoying the content and feel like I'm part of it, part of the conversation, right? And if you feel secluded, or like the show isn't necessarily for you, then that's when I kind of check out. You know what I mean?
I hear that. I like that. Those are some pretty solid things to look for when it comes to enjoying somebody's podcast or their content or whatnot. Kind of curious now with this, like I'm talking to you prior to June 12th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to know some predictions from you of what you think's coming to that event. Now, I want to categorize this in 3 different categories.
Okay.
I want some things that have to be there, some things that should be there, and things that would blow your socks off if they showed up.
Okay, so things that have to be there, things that should be there, and things that would blow the shit off the world.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the things that have to be there is we have to have gameplay of at least 2 first-party AAA titles.
You said just 2.
Only 2, but it's got to be good, like solid gameplay, right? I feel like if we get gameplay of it, like a good segment of gameplay of 2 games that really tell us 100% what these games are, right? And at least a window of when they're coming out, then that'll do a lot for the rest of the show.
Okay.
I feel like you can, that's like a foundation, right? Like you build off of that. Okay. I hope they have more gameplay than that, but you absolutely have to have at least 2 games. Because if you just have one, they're gonna be like only 1 game. If you have 2 and you got 2 games that like really stood out with gameplay, you're like, okay, at least they're like, they got those 2. So I feel like
Matt said 2 game minimum on gameplay.
Yeah, and solid gameplay. It can't be like snippets. It can't be like some like roundabout CGI almost trailer that has like little bits of gameplay, like shots in it. You know, it needs to be
You
like,
want a quick breakdown. Like give me like 5-10 minutes of gameplay.
I want it to look like somebody's actually playing the freaking game, right?
So kind of like
Or
what they just showed with like Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
Recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but maybe not even as long as that. Like it could be like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you know, something like that. You know, a quick little mission, you know, or like somebody explaining it with like different little quick gameplay shots through there, but it needs to be like pure gameplay, right?
Got it.
So that's like the has to have. Okay. Now what they should have is a surprise for 2022 for release this year. Because if they delay Elden Ring and they did delay Redfall and it didn't have anything else in store for this holiday and did not let people know about it going into this showcase ahead of time, then that would be like a disappointment. I'm pretty confident we'll probably see at least like a Forza Motorsport for 2022. There's got to be something like that should be there, you know, it gives people like, okay, this was a first party thing from Xbox hitting in 2022. Because if you have a whole year without anything, that's pretty crazy, right? So that's a should. Now blow my socks off. It's hard to say, man, because like I always live in hype mode, and I feel like there's not a lot that would like shock me because I always like go for extreme thoughts anyway. I feel like the only thing that could be like, okay, here's where I'll go. They announced that all of the Call of Duties are coming into Game Pass, including Modern Warfare 2. This next one's coming to Game Pass day 1. If they did that, that would make the internet go crazy. That would make the internet go nuts. And I think that it's possible for them to do. I just don't know, like, if they could pull it off.
That's interesting. I don't know. So Avowed, where you at?
I think it's possible for 2022, but I think it's more likely first quarter of 2023.
Okay.
I do feel like if there was a game to fill that void that was potentially like going to be 2023, that would be one that could potentially move up, because Obsidian does move quickly. They're a very solid studio. We don't know if they were only in 2023, and this is hypothetically. Nobody's told us that it's 2023, but it's just what the rumors were before. If they were first quarter 2023, we don't know if that was only because Starfield was slated for end of 2022 and they didn't want to be on top of each other. So then they go 2020, early 2023 to start feeling that every quarter mode, right? So if Starfield got delayed and they're moving it back, hypothetically, maybe they say, well, maybe we could get Avowed ready, and they got 6 months still to do it, right? It's possible, right? I just think it wasn't in the plans already, because they wouldn't have released Starfield and Avowed for the same holiday. Would make sense. So they would have to move it up in order for that to make it happen. Are they doing that? I don't know. If they would have to have that conversation with Obsidian and say, can you have it ready in 6 months? And if they could have it ready in 6 months, maybe. But we'll see, man. It's tough. It's tough to say. I'm on the like 70% 2023 train. 30% it could happen this year.
All right. And then my last kind of question revolving Xbox and new games. I want to know, do you think that 2023 is the year where they start dropping games quarterly? Or do you think that's still a way off?
No, absolutely. So, I think Redfield and Starfield cemented that. I think we were already going to have probably 3 at least for 2023, maybe even 4. But putting Redfall and Starfield into that mix, I think that it's going to happen. The only thing is, like, if something at the end of the year that they had already slated gets pushed back potentially, again, who knows what's all going to be slated. We'll find more out, I guess, about all that. But I would say maybe like Hellblade could be like a end of 2023 game. I would say that Contraband and Avowed could also be both 2023. But then there's a lot of other games like Project Midnight, from I think that's the Compulsion game.
Yeah, that Southern kind of game.
Yeah, that could be ready. There's a lot of other Project games that like maybe could be time ready to release that we just don't know their names yet. I think we'll probably have reveals of a couple of those at E3 or the non-E3 showcase. So it's interesting, man. I mean, there's going to be a lot. They have like, I tallied it up before, right? And literally, like, I counted like 40 something projects that we know about. Yeah, all these games got to come out within the next few years, 4 years or so, 5 years. And if you do the math on that, that's like almost one a month. So that they're not gonna have a game a month. You know what I mean? So
that'd be
like
insane.
It's not at all unfeasible for me that they're going to start hitting 20 every once a quarter. I think that's going to happen for sure.
Okay. All right. I like the way you closed that out. That was real nice. All right. So moving on to the next few questions that we have before we close out the show. What is the best 3 games that you've played this generation so far?
This generation? Oh, man. Forza Horizon 5, Flight Sim,
Let's go.
and King of Fighters 15.
Wow, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one coming at all. I didn't know you were a fighter.
I like all genres, man. Like it. I do. I like all genres. I haven't played it as much as I should, but it jumps off, man. It's one of the most solid fighters I've played in years. I just don't have a lot of friends that are into fighting games, so it's like don't find the time that they don't to play with them or whatever. But yeah, I need to get some more friends that play fighting games.
Holler at K Mega. I know he's always
Yeah,
fighting.
I know. I see him, but the problem with K Mega is like he's really into fighting games, and so he's just gonna kick my ass.
See, that's where I'm at. I'm just like, oh, K
So
Mega. I don't know if I
I'm
want
like
that
that.
smoke.
Like I really like fighting games, but like I'm not there. So I'm
No,
not
I
like
get it.
like that's all he plays pretty much is fighting games. You know what I mean? But when I go against somebody like that, I mean I just get stomped on. Now
Yeah, when
I'm
somebody
playing
knows
with
how to do a
people that-
fatality, they already know way more than I do.
if I play somebody that never plays fighting games, I'm gonna destroy him. If I play somebody that casually plays fighting games, I'm gonna probably be a little bit better. If I play somebody that like plays fighting games quite a bit, I'm gonna lose quite a bit, right? If I play somebody that only plays fighting games, I'm just getting destroyed, right?
Waxed.
So I gotta find that like hey, I like fighting games too. Let's play, and then play something else, and then play something else, but also play fighting games, and then I can mix it up with them.
Okay. Now, I know you kind of answered this question a little bit just moments ago, but I'm still going to make you try to answer it the best of your ability. What is your least favorite genre that you will flat out like skip easily? Like what's something when you were young and you went to the store that you would walk right past it like 6 or 7 times before you seen it?
Man, that's like an insanely tough question because one thing about me is I've always liked so many different genres, right? Now, I will say that like Souls games are like something that still hasn't clicked for me yet, but like I want to like it, and I feel like the right game eventually is going to hit.
Was Elden Ring not that it? Not that game? I know you said sometimes when you went in castles and stuff like that.
It's a great game. I enjoy it, but would the castle parts lose me? Like I feel that like Demon Souls, Dark Souls vibe when I'm playing it in the castle areas, and it's kind of I kind of get checked out. I get frustrated and stuff. What is a genre I bypass or just
Or like
do
just your
not
least
like?
favorite one.
Man,
It really sounds like Souls.
I mean, Souls is probably there. I'm trying to think of like, I don't like the like ultra sim games, like the like farming simulator and stuff like that.
Okay.
I tend to buy it, but they just kind of annoy me. I don't know what it is.
You don't want to cut some grass?
No, it's like I don't want to play a game, they always feel janky and stuff,
Lower Master Jasper said card games.
Card games, like I need it. What kind of like card? You don't like card games at all, Jasper? Like I like card game. Like I'll always play like poker or something like that. That's a tough question though, man, because even those games I'm willing to play. I don't know.
RTS, are you into those?
Yeah, I love RTS, but but there's only certain like I love a lot of different genres, but like only like I don't go to the extremes in a lot of them. Like I don't like the big 4 times strategy games that are so in depth, but like I love Command and Conquer, right? I loved Lord of the Rings Battle of Middle Earth 2. I love Supreme Command 2, right? Those are like the RTS games that like I love. I like tactics games, I like RPGs, like JRPGs, I like shooters, I like fighting games, like racing games. I don't know. It's a wide gamut, dude. Like there's not a lot of genres I don't like.
So what you just did is walk around.
Yeah.
You didn't answer the question.
It's hard to answer. I don't know, man. It's like Soul. I guess we'll have to say Souls games because like I just haven't found the one that like really clicks.
I was like, bro, will you take a seat and tell me which one you don't like that
Well,
much?
I
You're
would be willing.
everything.
I'm so willing to play every single one and see itself if I like it.
I feel you. All right, so favorite studio of all time and what game best represents that studio. So this doesn't have to be a studio that's around right now. It could be something, Interplay or Midway or Acclaim way back in the day or something like that. It can be anything that you really enjoyed.
Okay, so I will say BioWare.
Okay. I'm guessing Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, but more so for Neverwinter Nights. Back in the day. That was a CRPG that came out from BioWare back in like 2001 or so.
I've never heard of that game.
Yeah, it's it came after Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
So it's a D&D game made by BioWare, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. It's just played the crap out of that game. BioWare, and then because of Dragon Age more so than Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect, but Dragon Age like really clicked for me. Also,
Dragon Age, okay.
Yeah. I liked Jade Empire also, they were just like on the top of the world, man. I mean, everything that they came out with, looking forward to, they stood above the rest. But Neverwinter Nights 2, like something about it, like just like really clicked. And ever since then, BioWare's name was like up there for me.
So how did you feel? Like from beginning to end, how did you feel about Anthem?
I liked the Anthem. It was okay. Like I don't like really get into it because
were you big into Destiny? Did you think it was a killer of Destiny of any way, shape, or form?
I was excited for Anthem, but like I didn't really believe in Anthem like 100% yet because I didn't get it like at launch because of a lot of the feedback that it was getting, and I was like going to be like, okay, I'm going to wait until it's ready because it didn't seem like it was ready yet. And then what happened was they did that whole delay thing of their pipeline. They had announced that, okay, everybody's upset. We're going to postpone our pipeline. Instead, we're going to do Anthem 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
And then guess what? They canceled that.
Right.
And they
that was like last February.
They killed the game in the process because they got rid of the pipeline of content they were supposed to be coming out with to develop that 2.0. So not only did they not come out with the 2.0, but because they were developing 2.0, they didn't release any updated content. So they like self-sabotaged that game. And that's more of a, like, that's definitely on BioWare, but also on EA with handling that. And it's like the whole model behind it. And it was a travesty because the gameplay is solid. Like I've played it since, and it's like, it's kind of like a shell of something that could have been. That's what the feel I get when I play it. It's like, wow, this is like mechanics wise, gameplay wise, it's a solid.
Mm-hmm. It was great. I love it.
It's just like there's nothing beyond that, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where
the story wasn't something to remember.
Yeah, but that's BioWare started going downhill when the doctors both left because they had I don't remember, Ray Mizuka, I think is the name of one. I can't remember both their names, but they were ran by like two doctors that like founded the studio. And a while after the EA acquisition, at some point they both left. And ever since then, BioWare's taken a hit, because they were like in charge of a lot, all the decisions with writing and with the games and stuff, how they were going to be. They made all those decisions before. So, but I think BioWare can come back. I mean, they have a lot going for them now. They have the Mass Effect trilogy remaster was was excellently done. I feel like there's a lot of hype behind the new Mass Effect. The word is that Dragon Age development is going well on the new Dragon Age game. It's been too long. Can't wait to see what it is. We have no information. But yeah, that would be a big deal if that comes out and is really good. That would mean a lot for BioWare.
If you've seen somebody post on Twitter, BioWare is coming back, would you believe them or would you cringe?
What do you mean by coming back? Because they already still exist, but like you mean coming back to like
top status, like great, you know, master type games.
I believe it. You know, I'm always believing in positivity. Like
There you go.
I'll hype them up, and then if they fail, like they make me look bad, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I want to see stuff from them to get me excited. All you gotta tell me is Dragon Age is coming out, and I'm gonna be hyped, right? So
fair enough.
They got a fair shot just with that. You know, I'm gonna play it. We'll see how it is. I didn't play a Dragon Age game I didn't like yet, so.
All right, these next two questions I'm gonna put into one question just to kind of save a little bit of time.
Okay.
What game are you most excited for that has not came out yet? And then what would be two games that you would go back and revive that are just not being utilized at all?
Okay. Well, I'll say it's the game I'm most excited about that it has not been like that hasn't been announced or like it hasn't come out.
It just hasn't come out.
Okay, Elder Scrolls 6.
Oh wow. You look.
We know
way into
nothing
the future.
about. Yeah, I mean it's technically announced. So, so for 1B, Splinter Cell.
Okay.
The Splinter Cell remake. Crazy hyped for that.
And then the second game.
Oh, so that's like 1A and 1B for like the game that I am most excited about. Now you're asking for like the other.
Okay. That was
announced. Splinter Cell remake was announced.
Okay, cool. So now we're on to the revive.
Yes. So revive two franchises: Command and Conquer. That's easy. And the second one is Final Fantasy Tactics.
Wow. Okay. So he wants some strategy games.
I wanted Final Fantasy Tactics. That's what I want. Like I want. We might get a remaster of it. Supposedly there's a rumor, a remake or something. I want like an actual Final Fantasy Tactics game to come out, like a Final Fantasy Tactics 2, whatever, and bring it out and be on all platforms and have great abilities and systems, just like the old school one. Tactics games are making a little bit of a comeback, possible. And then as far as Command and Conquer, like what the hell is EA doing? Come on, like Command and Conquer's got to be there. Like it's one of the most iconic game franchises of all time. It pretty much spawned a genre of games, and you're just sitting on it.
Mm.
You bought Westwood Studios back in the day and all the Command and Conquer stuff to basically let it spoil and do away with it. It's one of the EA's biggest travesties, man. It's something if they don't fix it, like no matter what EA does, I'll never be able to forgive them for ruining Command and Conquer.
I mean, if I've heard anything come out of you like within the past like hour, is that you're kind of disappointed in EA.
Yes, I mean I do have like they have their good as well, right? Like we get the Jedi Fallen Order games, right? They do great stuff with like these indie developers and stuff like that too. Like we got Haze Light with It Takes Two. It Takes Two was like one of my games of the year last year, right? Absolute stellar masterpiece.
Right.
So when you're getting some things like that, you can't be like all out like EA is all bad. It's just a lot of things they've done in their past have ruined things. And I don't know if EA is in that place today or not, but EA has made a lot of mistakes that have caused a lot of problems, right? For studios and franchises that a lot of people love. Command and Conquer being one of them. You can say the same thing for what BioWare potentially with their franchises. We'll see what happens. For the most part, it's been pretty good, but they've gone downhill dramatically since
Yeah,
Anthem.
steep fall.
Steep decline. And then the worst aspect of EA for me over anything else is their monetization of the sports games with the Ultimate Team, and how they have completely gotten away with like fraud pretty much. And it's crazy, man, the way the prices they charge for these digital cards that hold no value in a year's time is absolutely insane. And they're utilizing people's I'm not gonna say necessarily 100% gambling, but their need to be the best and have the best players and have the best of this and have the best of that, and that itch of collection that everybody has, where you got to have if the collector aspect in people, and when you're secluding stuff to cards that you either have to grind 1,000 hours for, or some cards that you can only pull in packs, or pay outrageous prices in the auction house. A lot of people just can't play enough to keep up competitively. It's a pay to win, 100%. Pay to win or grind more than anybody that has a fair time to do. And they've figured out a way to completely manipulate and master that system. Other companies have followed suit, like 2K with my team. It's not as egregious, but it's still pretty bad.
It's bad.
MLB The Show has the Diamond Dynasty or whatever it's called on there now, and stuff like that. But they have pretty much taken a facet of franchises that we love and turned it into like this disgusting money machine that holds no value with gameplay whatsoever. It's just about the economics of manipulating fan base, and it's gross.
I'm gonna come out and say it. EA is probably my most hated publisher right now, and I use the word hate really selectively. I'm not a person that likes to throw that word around that often, but the level of disrespect that I feel like that is shown to their own games is just disturbing.
Yeah, they're too quick to move on, from things like one of the things that also bothers me is the Battlefield situation, right? Because every Battlefield is launched with problems, right? That I can remember. All of them have had issues. Now, this one also, I was in defense of it because I was like, honestly, like the servers are actually working for me, which was like a plus compared to every
you were
other
playing it for a hot
game.
minute there, I remember.
I having a blast. I was having a freaking blast. I didn't have a lot of issues with the game. I mean, there's like some bugs here and there. There was this one loadout glitch that you get occasionally. Hit detection was off for a lot of people for like a couple of days, or they fixed that pretty quick. There's missing features that people really wanted, like the voice chat and stuff like that. But I feel like they didn't launch the game successfully with a normal amount of bugs. In this day and age, it's a lot harder because people are so quick. There's so many other options to play. Apex Legends, Fortnite, all these games are free, right? Warzone, it's free, and you're charging $70 for a multiplayer only game, and then you're gonna launch with the bugs and stuff that's like not fully content complete. You're gonna piss off a lot of people, and they did, right? I'm sitting there being like, hey, it's compared to other Battlefield games, I was actually having a better experience in a lot of the Battlefield games I did at launch because it was actually playable. A lot of times the servers don't even work for like a week. And I'm speaking out of memory of playing every Battlefield game at launch ever, that I can, going back to like Battlefield 2 at least, and I was saying this is pretty damn fun, and we're all kind of having a blast when we're playing together and everything, but the community is like abandoning them because of the issues. Now, what I had a problem with when the community left was EA giving up. Because what they said was, hey, everybody that bought this game for $70, guess what? We messed up. We see you. We hear your feedback. We'll get it right next time. We're going to move on to the next game.
Yeah, dude, that didn't sit right with me. When I heard that, I was like, here y'all go again. Here y'all go again. That's exactly what I was thinking.
They anthemed it. You know, now they're lowering lobby sizes on the games, on some of the modes. They're removing game modes already from it now. The player base isn't there, right? So I said this early on I told the community in a video or podcast, something. I was like, the community is going to end up killing one of their favorite games. I hope it doesn't kill the franchise. They killed the game. Obviously it was EA's fault first, but I knew because of the way EA is, if the player base left, they're going to lose support for the game. The player base left, they lost the support for the damn game. If the player base had stayed at a certain level, I feel like EA would do what they always did with Battlefield and eventually get it there. Battlefield 5 today is 10 times the game it was at launch. Battlefield 5 was not good at launch whatsoever. It took about 2 years for them to finally get that game in a really good place. And now if you play it today, it's like, wow, that's like a really polished, great playing, fun game. It runs beautifully, gorgeous, great maps, all this stuff. And Battlefield 2042 launched with more content than any multiplayer game ever in Battlefield history. You had all the portal stuff, plus you had the maps, you had more game modes, all that stuff. 128 players, and it launched with bugs, and the community gave up on it. EA gave up on it because the community gave up on it, and it sucks. EA is to blame here, man. Like, you can't sell a game for $70, have mistakes you made, have the community leave, and then fail to continue to support that game. And when they announced that they're moving on to the next Battlefield game and they're going to get it right next time, learn from their mistakes, and then you see this news of like removing modes and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, that's just not doing right by the consumer, for everybody that paid their money for that product with the promise of future of that game. So that's EA pissed me off with that one big time. Anyway, they could have won us over if they just kept supporting it, come out with more content, get stuff out, come out with more news, new things coming, win back over the community. How many games have done that? Several games have done it. Drop the price, get people in, you could try again within the same game, but they're not doing that.
I mean, Halo's doing it right now.
Yeah, Halo's done it. Halo's doing it. Destiny's done it. I can name, you could talk about, Sea of Thieves did it.
These publishers though aren't giving up. That's the difference.
Exactly.
Like maybe they have lost some fair weather fans for a little while, or the count ain't where it needs to be, but they keep, but they care, so they're gonna keep pushing that game. But the thing about EA is just like, dude, like they always just like, oh, this isn't good. You guys don't like it? All right, well then screw it. Just throw it away.
Start again. Yeah, it's for them. It's
Titanfall was one of the worst.
Yeah, they just look at their return on investment and like, what's the odds that this is going to have a return, and like whether it's gonna, but like without holding true to like the people that already invested.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move to another topic because I'm unleashed and we ain't got that kind of time. We really ain't got that kind of time. But going forward, I'm kind of wondering. I mean, I guess this is a great one to roll right into. Like, what frustrates you in gaming? And this is as a whole. This isn't like publisher or a specific game or game mode. I'm talking about like anything. So this could be community delays, broken games. Like tell me.
See, I'm pretty like patient with bugs and stuff because I understand the ambition like a lot of these devs have to do, and I understand the business side of it as well. Like, So like when a game launches with some bugs, I'm not like, oh, this is like horse shit. I like it's like okay, they're gonna fix it and it'll get better. You know what I mean? Like I can sometimes be too positive about that stuff, so that's not one for me. So for me, it's more community annoyances, right? And like I feel like there's a lot of disingenuous stuff about going on. This is something I didn't know about until I started content creation and started doing podcasting and started seeing this stuff when I became aware of a lot of these shows and became aware of the Twitter community and how involved that gaming community is really on Twitter. And I see a lot of like just toxicity and based on just like disingenuous information and takes out there just for the sake of attention or keeping a narrative right at a talking point because it gains some popularity. And I found that like really disgusting for like, and the thing is, people are getting taken advantage of and they don't really know it.
Now,
Like,
what do you mean in the sense of that, like taking advantage of? That's a really touchy thing to say.
okay, so there's some content creators out there in the community, also people on Twitter that are catering to an audience that doesn't necessarily keep up with the news themselves, right? Keep up with information themselves. And they basically share information from clickbait posts or from articles written from clickbait or like random rumors or somebody to reads something and they completely take one word or one sentence out of an entire interview and twist it into something completely negative and not what it is at all, and they create entire shows around this stuff and entire topics, and they get this huge amount of people repeating this stuff online and social media, and it becomes the truth because so many people say something, it becomes the narrative, right? And there's a lot of people that have done this over the last generation, and it got them big followings and big you know channels and stuff like that. And then I wasn't really aware of it until I got into the community and I see this stuff and I see these topics still being pushed and these like narratives still being pushed and like sentences like from like executives that are like mean nothing like what they say it is, just completely blown up, and like arguments, like toxic arguments being held over these things. Meanwhile, the audience, that maybe a few hundred people, is feeding into this stuff and they don't know anything else because all they see is that pipeline of stuff they've seen on Twitter from the people they follow. And those are the people that are getting taken advantage of, right? The people that don't really follow gaming news or keep up with stuff themselves or look into articles or know what studios are working on or even know what studios have made before and know any of this stuff, when they're trusting somebody who's trying to present themselves as an authority figure because they know, right? They're trying to present themselves that way. And they're telling all these people this stuff. And they're like, okay, yeah, I feed into that, and then it spreads. And those people that it spreads to, the casuals that just randomly see this one tweet and take it at face value, are completely getting taken advantage of because they don't understand what the truth is and understand what the real information is. They just see this false, disingenuous talk. And it a lot of times it grows into fans of shows throwing their money and stuff at creators that are feeding them bullshit. And it's crazy, man. I have a complete distaste with any kind of scheme or dishonesty or disingenuous thing that shows a lack of integrity, right? So that's my number one issue with gaming, is that exists within the gaming community. And I don't get it. I don't understand why, but you see people making stuff up, just flat out lies all the time, making fake videos, like promoting this stuff, talking about it. Like, it's just weird. It's just weird, man. I don't get it. Like, this is a passion we love, right? We talk about gaming because we actually enjoy the hobby and playing games, right? So, like, if you're sitting there and you're just trashing on stuff, being negative about stuff all the time, like, why? You know, like, and if you have a show that's supposed to be centric around a platform, you're trying to be talking about games, talking about stuff you love about that, not just sitting there trashing on something else that you don't care about, right? Doesn't make any sense to me.
That's probably one of the more irritating things to me that I see on Twitter is like, you'll see people saying, hey, this thing's trash, this thing's trash, this thing's trash. And then as soon as you mention, hey, like you don't even call it trash. You just say, hey, man, I don't really like this. You don't play games. You don't know what you're talking about. You shouldn't be talking about that game if you don't play it, yada, yada. And it's just like, whoa.
Yeah, the gatekeeping. Yeah.
Yes, like, and I think the gatekeeping is probably, like, if I were to be answering this question that I asked you, I'd probably say gatekeeping is probably my least favorite thing about the community.
Yeah.
It's just because, like, and people think it's like a powerful, cool stance to take where it's just like, you know, gatekeep your community. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's the opposite of what this was made for. Like, at least the online presence was strictly made for not gatekeeping, getting people into your, into your bubble, seeing what you're up to, having fun. And, you know, not everybody will be great, but there'll be some dope people that you meet in the process, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But,
I mean, the good outweighs the bad for me. It's easy to ignore for me, but I see like the people that get sucked into that, you know, and that's what it like makes me like, it sucks, man. I wish people were able to think for themselves more. A lot of these people, you know, but they're just assuming they're being told like actual information or the problem that is that a lot of times it's not even these people's real opinion.
right.
And you can see through it like easily. Like, there's some intelligent people that are speaking, they're very well spoken, all this kind of stuff, and you could tell, I mean, they're not dumb enough to actually believe this like stuff that they're feeding into this audience of people that are like buying into that, you know what I mean? And it makes me feel bad for the audience because they're just being like lied to, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't get it. I don't understand the purpose. So I understand the purpose, you know, but it's no good intentions there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just lack of integrity, lack of self-respect, a lack of respect for your audience, lack of respect for what you do, lack of respect for gaming in general. So,
and you're passionate about that one right there.
yeah, I can't stand it, dude. There's people in the community I will not associate with whatsoever.
You got your walls up.
100%. You can spot it a mile away. I don't have anything to do with them. You know, like if I'm invited on one of their shows, ain't gonna happen. You know, like I don't care. I know I have a lot of friends that hop on some of these shows sometimes because like they're fun or whatever, the back and forth and stuff like that. But it ain't for me, man. You know what I mean? Like,
For you, it just isn't worth the time for you.
It's not worth the time. It's not like, why take part into something when you know like it's just full of nonsense, you know, like, and it's not even real talking points at that point when you know the people that are talking to you are like not even giving their own opinion. It's all for show.
Yeah.
It's not a discussion at that point because you can't have an actual discussion with somebody that doesn't actually believe what they're saying, because you can't actually change the mindset, because no matter what it is, it's only going to be opposite of whatever you say, because that's what makes for the show. That's why the whole moving the goalpost, right? Like, doesn't matter. It's like, it's just fake, dude. And I don't like that. I like people that are passionate, real, honest, genuine people that have real opinions. And even if it's something I disagree with, like, there's a lot of guys in the community who have different opinions on things, but you can have a discussion. You can tell it's a real opinion and they believe in it. And it's like, cool. You know what I mean? But like people that don't, that are just like feeding this nonsense stuff, like hosts that do that, it's just they're worse than the trolls on Twitter and stuff because they're giving those trolls fuel. They're growing them, right? And that's they're breeding the toxicity in the gaming community without even realizing it. You know,
Matt over here preaching.
It's true, man. I mean, it sucks. It's a thing, but it's out there.
Gaming Forte in the chat said Mav spitting right now. Yes, sir, he is. He is letting them know, like, hey, bro, it just isn't even worth my time. I ain't dealing with it. If it ain't positive or at least an intellectual conversation.
Like bragging on EA here.
Yeah, exactly. At least it has just to be at least an intellectual conversation where it's not everybody else's thoughts mushed and just being spewed out of your mouth.
It just has to be an honest thought, not a disingenuous take based on the fact that you know it's going to get attention.
Got it. Now, dream come true. Flip it.
Flip that? Like, what do you mean?
Like dream come true within gaming.
Okay. A dream come true within gaming. I'll say this, no more exclusives, period.
Whoa. So would there be a point in platforms then?
Yeah, whatever you prefer to play on. Whatever ecosystem, like whatever like storefront you find that you like to explore more, whatever has the best quality of life services going for you.
So
right?
You would be cool playing God of War on Xbox.
Yeah, and I would be happy if a PlayStation guy got to play Halo. Like,
that's interesting.
I would be 100% because like I gain nothing from somebody else not getting to play something.
That's very true.
But I could gain something by everybody being able to play something because it makes it more popular, which in turn maybe make more content, which in turn maybe make more sequels, which in turn maybe make bigger budgets for those games. Like that's one thing I really like Xbox's thing with they're going with like play as many places as possible, trying to grow across all these different devices and stuff, because if you're growing your audience, then you have a chance to actually grow as a company, which in turn can benefit the gamer, right?
What I'm kind of not seeing, I guess, is the benefit in there being multiple platforms if all the games are everywhere, I guess. Like,
well, then most of them make their
like
money.
Who would ever buy a Switch then? Like, you know what I mean? Or I shouldn't say who would ever buy a Switch.
Well, Nintendo would if that happened, Nintendo would be the first to have a problem, because I think most people would probably. Well, I mean, you got the gaming on the go side. That's why so many Switches sell.
That's kind of why it's starting to backpedal.
It's not because it's good hardware. I mean, like, but the thing is, like, if you have like Xbox they're gonna have Call of Duty on PlayStation, right? And PlayStation, they have the show on Xbox right now, right? Imagine the future where you have it across the board. These consoles don't make much money on these platforms don't make much money on the consoles, period. But PlayStation was always wanted to get more consoles out there so they could make more money on the software sales. So they would make great games to sell more consoles. So then you could have more consoles out there. That way you make more money on the game sales, right? So if you actually are capped out, which PlayStation's saying they're kind of capped out right now on how fast the market's going to grow. If you release your games on more things, you're going to make more money on the software, which is what you're making money on anyway. For people that prefer like playing on a PlayStation, I don't think they're going to all of a sudden prefer playing on an Xbox. You know, I don't think Xbox gamers that prefer playing on an Xbox are going to all of a sudden prefer playing on a PlayStation. I think people are going to buy the game wherever they feel most comfortable playing. And if Sony wanted to get out of the hardware business just because they weren't making exclusives, then I think it would be a mistake, because they can still sell consoles. And at that point, they can start selling consoles as a profit because your games are everywhere. you're less necessary or you're less relying on your hardware sales for your ecosystem to grow. You're relying on your software sales for your ecosystem to grow, which means you can not have as hamstrung cap on the hardware either. You could have a $700-800 box out there, a $300 box, a $500 box. Let people choose which device they want to buy for their budget, and you can have all these tiers, have all these updates. Console gaming has a lot of space to grow. I think that's potentially the future. What we're going to see, man. You already see it like right now with Xbox having 2 tiers. You have the 300 and the 500, right? And now imagine like in a different world, because they're not making much money on the hardware anyway. If they just threw another tier out there, let's say they had like a $800 tier out there for like a really high end gamer, right? That wants to play all their games at 4K 120 with like, or they want to play 4K 60 ray tracing on every game, right? There's a market for that. And it doesn't matter if Xbox sells a crap ton of those or not, because at that point there's games are everywhere and it's just going to be wherever they want to play anyway. It's just another device to access the ecosystem. So I have a different view on it than like a lot of people are stuck in this like old school console generation mindset, but we're in this digital age now, man. It's like it's changing rapidly.
Well, that's why I kind of got to ask you, like, do you think that this is already in motion? Like, I mean, I know you kind of said you think that. I mean, I guess you kind of did say that you think it's in motion a little bit already, but I'm wondering like how much it's going to lean into no first party console necessary kind of thing, because you see these PlayStation games coming to PC. Xbox has been doing the PlayStation or the Xbox games coming to PC. And it seems like Sony is they still really care about their hardware, and they're putting it in your face kind of to, hey, we really care about this. PC is second. But do you think by the end of this generation, or do you think it's going to be like next generation or the end of next generation, when you start to see these day one games like a new Horizon coming out on PC, and then phasing out the need for consoles and just kind of only being like essentially turning yourself into a Sega?
Well, I don't think that like consoles are going to go away, because I feel like there's a market for consoles, and if you want to have a certain player base accessing the ecosystem, you're going to need to have consoles, right?
But do you think it's going to be like, do you ever think it's going to go like to like a third party, kind of like what 3DO ended up doing, like where it was made by different manufacturers, but it just had the stamp on it like, this is PlayStation, or sponsor in part by, or something like that?
Eventually you could see that because of the cloud, because you're not even going to have it built in the native hardware anymore. You're just going to have it accessible via the cloud. So overall, like, just technology in itself will make consoles technically obsolete for like the mass market, but they'll always have a home for the diehard that want to play the games at the highest, and the ease of access, ease of use. So I think there's always gonna be a PC market. There's always gonna be a console market. And I feel like the platform holders will be making hardware for those markets, right? Because why not? I think they could be a little bit more expensive potentially at that point, because it's less necessity to get it out there just for your user base to grow. At that point, you're just having an option of accessibility. But because the cloud is going to be to the point where we can't even fathom right now. Like, right. Think 10 years ago, okay? Right, 10 years ago, it's 2012, right? We're still in the 360 generation.
Right.
Think about what the cloud was 10 years ago. We were
that
using
was
it
just something to save games, right?
Yeah, just save games. That's it, right? There was talk about the power of the cloud and the Xbox One generation and all this stuff, and they talk about utilizing it for games and stuff, and it pretty much through the entire Xbox One generation, except for some exceptions, it was still pretty much just used for game saves. Sea of Thieves started implementing it for like the water stuff, and then you finally had Crackdown come out, but that was just barely implementations for like game design elements with the cloud. Okay, then Game Pass came out, and now we finally have xCloud. xCloud launched. Now gaming streaming on a mobile device, on a PC, and a console is possible. Even if you have an old console, you can play Xbox Series X games on a Xbox One, right? So we're in the infancy of that. So now think about where cloud saves were 10 years ago with just saving games on a 360 to today, where you're playing across all these multiple platforms.
Playing
And
Flight Sim.
think about the possibility of where cloud gaming could be in 10 years.
That's crazy. I mean, when
So
you
if
put it
you-
in
if
that
you-
kind of perspective, it's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
you have to think about it, right? Like the rapid growth of that technology cannot be like underestimated. It's going to continue to get better. We just got this implementation of this cloud streaming stuff from Xbox this last year, right? For all of the Xbox One games. It's still growing. 10 years from now, who knows what it's going to be? At that point, will it even be necessary to have like local hardware?
That's what I'm getting at, bro.
But I still think, regardless, because there's always going to be that die-hard enthusiast, right?
There will be, but my question, I guess, which you did a pretty good job of answering it, but like just to reiterate it, like, do you think that these consoles are going to be like more of a third-party manufacturer? Like I mean, like perfect example is the Gold Star 3DO. We know that was Panasonic, right? But like some of these, and this also kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with some of these consoles and things coming out being way far ahead in thinking than they needed to be at the very moment. Connect, you know, maybe 6-axis and like a PS3 kind of control. Let's go with, you know, the voice and, you know, audio coming out of your controller, all the way to like something with what we got now, or what we had in the past with, you know, a platform being sold or, you know, bidded off to other companies to be produced, to be mass produced. I'm wondering if you're going to see something in the near future that, because I think Xbox is already kind of down for whatever, I guess, but like I'm wondering if PlayStation's going to be interested in, you know what, we're selling you this TV with PS5 or PlayStation software added to it already. You're just going to turn it on with your game controller. You can mess around with the TV if you want, but you can also play games on it, right?
Oh, 100%. That's the future. Yeah. I mean, from everybody. So like you're going to have that from PlayStation. You're
So the
probably gonna
console
eventually-
is the TV.
Yeah, you know, the console is the TV, but I still think that because the cloud, no matter what, will never be as good natively, just because of latency, right? The slight latency. You may have slight pixelation depending on your connection, if it has little issues here and there, right? Even if with our connections being 10 years from now, think about how good those will be, right? Think back 10 years ago, what was your connection like in 2012 for your internet, right? Nowhere near like what it is right now, right? And
It
another
took a
10
minute
years,
to find a game of Halo.
and in another 10 years, you know, our connections will be even better. But it's still like if you have native hardware that can support and play some stuff natively, or at least be the backbone for it, I think there's going to be a market for it. And I think they're always, or at least for another 10 years. Okay. After that, who knows? Because it's hard to predict where technology is going to go. But at least until that point, I think we're going to have hardware, right? I think there's going to be another generation of consoles come out after this 10 year span. And at that point, that will probably be like where the convergence truly takes place, right? We're going to get there this generation. And at that next generation is going to be where it's like, okay, you can play on this or you can play on that. And it's all like, it's up to you. You know, you can play on this PC, You can play on the Xbox and buy this new Xbox that's going to be like probably more expensive because it's going to be a badass Xbox, right? Or you can just play on the cloud, right, with the streaming stick or on the TV or whatever. And I think PlayStation is slower to get there because they haven't had a head start with this like Xbox does, because their past cloud solutions were not very good. So I think they're going to be playing catch up, but eventually they'll be there too. And they're starting the process now, going to PC, talking about mobile, talking about live service games, talking about going multi-platform. All of these things are steps. All the acquisitions they're making with these games that are good at porting games as well, good at cloud infrastructure, good at building these live service models. The steps PlayStation's taking is all at now with the plans of meeting this future, because that's where the masses are going to be. If you're only selling to console gamers, you're only selling to people that are going to buy a $500 box. That's only limited to a certain amount of people, regardless. So you're only going to meet a cap there. And if you go to everybody who has a phone, who has a PC, who has a TV, you are expanding the audience times a multitude, like several times of potential customers.
Yeah,
right?
It's almost limitless, right?
And the technology is getting to the point where that's feasible. So I think that because of the hardcore guys like us that want to have like a piece of hardware, like that want that high powered menu system, like navigation, all the community, like all the quality of life services, all those other things added in, I think there'll still be a console market. But I do see the market changing in more of like a integrated steps and just options, right? Where it's like, here's the next generation console. This is it. There'll be like potentially like 3 different ones to choose from, right? And to get one you want. And all the games will be workable on all of those platforms, all of those. I hope PlayStation does that too. And doesn't just leave the console market behind when it gets there. And I think because they're a hardware first company, I think they will still maintain that to keep the identity of their brand as well, and they'll push that more, so I still see PlayStation doing that. Nintendo is just going to be doing their own weird thing, and it's not going to really matter them too much. But if a Game Pass or Xbox app was in a PlayStation, I would think that was amazing. And if a PlayStation app or storefront was in an Xbox, I would think that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there'd still be the competition of who's running it better and everything.
Yeah,
like that.
100%.
So there's still
who's running the
competition.
services better, and they're gonna make their sales from the storefronts and all that kind of stuff.
And you could still, and I mean, just to kind of put some positive belief into what you're kind of talking about with all these, game, play anywhere, play any game from any console anywhere. I mean, they could still be like, you know what, you're playing God of War for this X amount of time on the Xbox or whatnot, but if you want to get it for cheaper or just more like regular on a service where it ain't going anywhere, you could play it on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of where you're going with that idea? Where the services matter more? Or
talk about like they
flat out
keep
games.
using that damn. I think the services and quality of life and preferences over controller and audio and specs and all that kind of stuff is going to be where people choose play. But I think that like storefronts is going to be where they make their money, and I feel like having their storefront on multiple places is going to eventually benefit more than it would be a detriment, right? So
I feel that.
I think that like Xbox has talked about it, like Microsoft has, like they keep using dumb words like meta and stuff that doesn't really mean anything. But ultimately, you see this now. Like you see, like at TV, you have access to Netflix, Amazon Prime. They're all competing with each other. Like Hulu.
But you still have access to it.
But you still have access all to on the same device, right? All these different storefronts, all these different ecosystems. Like you can go and buy movies on Vudu, or you can buy movies on Amazon Prime, right?
Same
and
movie.
all from your from your TV, the same movie, right? And like gaming can be that as well. The trouble is that nobody wants each other to be on each other's closed ecosystems right now, because all the ecosystems are closed. But once they get opened and become like more open systems where they're inviting other competition, then it will actually probably benefit all. So
Okay.
we'll see.
I like that take. We're gonna move on to the very last thing that I got for you, which is what I ask everybody. I want you to describe gaming in just 3 words for me.
Okay. I saw this question. I tried to think of it, and I was hoping it would hit me like when you ask it to me on the spot. But it's like it's really tough.
I remember somebody in the chat a little while ago said Xbox Game Pass. I was
Yeah,
like, you tripping.
that's great. I'll say fun, social escapism.
Social fun escapism is
Yeah,
the 3 words. All right,
yeah,
brother.
that's what it is for me.
Well, thank you, Mav. Fun speculation. Thank you so much for coming on, giving me your ear, and also giving me some excellent points and talking about your history in a fantastic way. It is really interesting seeing what you came from, how the Intellivision was your first console. That's not something that you hear very often from very many people. It's really interesting to see that you're so down to play so many different types of video games, no matter what they are.
I told you I have trouble picking a favorite. That goes with genre. That goes with music. Also, all genres, the types of movies. Man, like I like a lot of stuff. I mean, like a little too optimistic at times. You know, a little like, but not critical enough. You could say, but man, I really do like. I love all those genres.
Well, brother, you're just being you, and that's the best part about who you are. So don't change that. And obviously, you don't want to change that from the way that you were talking about the communities and whatnot. You're very open and honest to what you think and not what everybody else is saying, which is
100%.
pretty
People
dope.
need to be able to form their own damn opinions. Like if you disagree with me, like that's great. Like you know what I mean? Like, but there's no sense of people getting upset over having different opinions. Or, I do get upset when people lie and and pour out disingenuous decisions at the expense of their community. So.
All right. Well, let everybody know where they can find you before I go on ahead and cut this off.
Yeah, check me out on Twitter at Fun Speculation. You'll find me there, tweeting random nonsense and letting everybody know when I go live. For all of our shows, we got multiple shows on YouTube. Fun Speculation. First off, we have Mondays is Fun Speculation Podcast, which covers all consoles and gaming news and game talk. We have a lot of fun on there. That's at 10 p.m. Eastern time on Mondays. Then we have Fun Pop, which we talk about Marvel, DC, comic book movies, Star Wars stuff, Halo TV show. Talk about Stranger Things probably on Wednesday. Can't wait to talk about that. That's Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then Thursdays is PM in the PM with Pong Soul and I. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we usually deep dive on a few topics and go in depth on the discussion on stuff. I have a blast with Pong. He's great. He takes the captain's chair on that show. He's great at it. And then Fridays is Xbox Ultimate, which we just had our 90th episode last Friday. And we're about
Nice.
to hit 91 this week. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern every Friday night. We have a huge panel now. Like I said earlier in the show, we started out with just me, but now it's usually like 8 or more people on the show. It's absolutely crazy. We go left a lot of nonsense ensues. So check out Xbox Ultimate Podcast. And then random game streams. Like I just streaming games, whatever game I feel like playing at the time. and like to hang out with the community, come out and hang out and chat while we're playing and have some fun.
Oh, dope. Well, as I said before, it was a pleasure having you here. Thanks for putting some time aside to be on Behind Them Sticks today on Tuesday, the 31st, the 60th episode of this show, which is pretty nice. Making some moves out here, talking to a lot of different people. But if you guys,
awesome, man.
yeah, absolutely, thanks, brother. But if you guys want to come back this Thursday, I have another dope guest. Her name is Game Mistress. She's a retro gamer. Plays all different types of things. You'll see her playing Famicom, Dreamcast, Sega Genesis. I mean, she's retro. She has literally a wall full of just different games. You know how people got them walls that have the sections of, this is PlayStation, this is Xbox and Famicom and all this. She has a dumb collection. But be sure to come back on Thursday. That show will be at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. And then always come and check us out on Bullsitting on Fridays with me, Loke7, and Cozy Beluga doing our thing, talking about games, having fun. She's eating random food that's been in her drawers for I don't know how long, but that's her thing. We did not tell her to do that. But last episode, she opened up some canned bread and started eating it on, canned bread. It still had the ridges on it, and from the can, it was not appetizing at all, but she was eating it like an apple. She was eating it like an apple, and me and Loke were just like, bruh, stop. But anyways, thanks everybody for coming out. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed the show, and go on ahead and subscribe and share this out so all these people within gaming can check out these wonderful creators and gamers that I talk to every Tuesday and Thursday. Y'all have a wonderful night. Thanks for coming out. Peace. Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast, brought to you by TSWS Gaming.
Come and talk to me, Lennard Ray. That's your name. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have a conversation.